PlayStation State of Play in Japan. Well, there are some PlayStation State of Play Japan reactions that are pretty negative, which I find to be a little ironic coming from a lot of the people who thought that, Japan and Eastern developers were going to save us from these terrible Western developers, and yet when you get a bunch of Japanese games and a Japanese State of Play, you don't like it. But what I felt from it, even though only one or two maybe games even kind of appealed to me, the rest just don't appeal to me, and that's okay. Something that I really sensed was there is some aggression from PlayStation right now, and this is on the heels of some developments from their earnings call, an update to the PS Portal, comments about Bungie and Destiny, and then, for the first time ever, they did a State of Play for Japan only. And I'm going to end the recent stream, the most current stream where we were doing morning coffee. Thank you, everybody who was there this morning. If you're not a member to my channel, you can't watch those. And that's a great way to start the day. So consider clicking the join button and becoming a member. It supports me directly, and you get into extra content. So why do I feel that PlayStation's being aggressive? Because a lot of people watched the State of Play Japan, and they thought it was terrible. They didn't like it. They complained. They were like, who is this for? Well, it's for the rest of the world, basically, because if you look at the total sales of, the PS5, 27% of those sales are in America. And historically, PlayStation hasn't been doing as well in Japan as in previous years, and Nintendo has really taken the king spot in that culture and in that economy. We also know that PlayStation's pushing heavily into China with the China Hero project, and in just the last couple of weeks, finally started officially marketing the PS5 and the PS5 Pro and Astrobot in China, which is one of their efforts to grow their console footprint, because previously they did not have a presence in China. They're also doing the same thing for India and the Mina Hero project. So if you consider those things, and then you sort of look at the preamble to the State of Play Japan, and then what was announced in the State of Play Japan, it's clear that they're getting more aggressive in this region of the world, in the Asian region of the world. And you can see this in a variety of ways. Number one, in the lead up to this State of Play, the Portal had cloud functionality officially added to it. Now, earlier this year, it was in beta. It was a select group of games, and it actually ran very well. I used it when I was in Florida, played a lot of Inscription. Now I can play almost all the games that I own just over the cloud. My PlayStation doesn't have to be on. I don't have to do remote play. You do need to be subscribed to the PlayStation Premium subscription, but essentially it's, hey, you don't need a console. Now, they're not going out there and saying no console needed. The marketing push for this is not nearly the same. You can really get that sense when you watch the State of Play and how Nishino sort of packaged all the hardware. It's all together. It's very Apple-esque. I said this morning, they sort of feel like the Asian version of Apple. Like the stuff they have has a vibe. It all sort of matches aesthetically, and they kind of want you to have everything. Speakers, a monitor, the DualSense controller, the Portal, the PlayStation. It's all very hardware focused, which I think really shows that is their focus. That is what they care about. Now, if you look at that, and you would wonder, well, why would adding cloud be so important to the Portal? Well, gaming on the go culture in Japan is quite a bit more popular. They're home less often, and an expensive console is a bit of a turnoff. And a $200 Portal that you could just play on the go as long as you have good Wi-Fi could be a big selling point for the culture there, where 1 in 4 people in Japan have a Nintendo Switch. The Switch 1 sold incredibly well in that particular market. So if they can start to cut in and not necessarily overtake, but say, hey, we're kind of moving into the neighborhood. We're not trying to overtake or compete with Nintendo, but we're going to move into the neighborhood. We're going to try and make some sales. That would be one way to do it. The second thing that they did that I think is worthy of note is the region-locked Japanese PlayStation 5 that will cost what amounts to $350. So they're going to have a $350 PlayStation 5 in the Japanese market. So conceivably, you could buy a region-locked PS5 in Japan and the Portal for $550. So for the cost of what it would probably be like for somebody in America to buy a brand new PlayStation 5, they can get a PlayStation 5 and a Portal. They can kind of get them together. They don't have to get them together, but that's where the price point is. I mean, $350 is a very, very good deal. And I even saw somebody who sort of covers the Chinese market this morning saying they actually think the region-locked PS5 is going to have an effect on saturation in China, and he was making an argument that I didn't quite understand, but he's sort of analyzing how this happened with the Switch. He feels something similar could be happening here, which he felt was a very bullish approach, like PlayStation's being very aggressive. Now, that's just the Japan sort of push and focus. Also, if you look at all of the games listed and all the companies included, a lot of the people that didn't understand like who this state of play was for, it's funny how, geocentric and ethnocentric gamers can get, because gaming is such a global phenomenon. It's also interesting seeing a lot of the guys, especially like American dudes, who have really been championing like Eastern developers and Chinese and Japanese developers, Korean developers, and saying, well, they're so much better at this, and Western developers are quote unquote going woke or whatever and ruining games, which I don't feel like a compelling case has been made there. I feel like a lot of it's just a lot of hot air and bloviation. But then you go to a state of play that's for Japan with a famous Japanese voice actor and a bunch of Japanese developers and games that are clearly appealing to somebody. Go look at the like ratio on the state of play. It's actually a very good like ratio. People liked this event. They enjoyed it. And it's interesting that people that thought like, oh yeah, Eastern developers, Asian developers are going to save us. I don't know if you like their games. Maybe you've never really noticed that like a lot of their games have this aesthetic and have this feel and vibe. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these games sell very, very well in those markets, okay? Now, the other thing that happened, though, and this is in conjunction with comments from Lin Tao, CFO, during earnings from Sony recently about how these generations will get longer support, okay? She was making comments about how they feel like they're about halfway through PS5, which everybody's thinking, oh my gosh, 2030. Now, I think in context, she's talking about support for the console. If you look at the PS5 and the PS4, she references the PS4 as like it got longer support. The drop-off of support for the PS4 started with Spider-Man 2. If you're thinking about first party, PlayStation said Spider-Man 2 is going to be the beginning of no more games on PS4. That was 10 years after the PS4 came out. If she thinks this generation is going to be supported for longer, then that means the PS5 will be getting cross-gen titles beyond like maybe 2030. I don't know. But the end of support would have been about 9 years if you think about it. Like no more games for PS4 from first party after 2022. That's 9 years after the launch of the PS4. So if they follow a similar pattern here, maybe 2030 is like the last year they're shipping games for both consoles. Now, many people have thought, well, does that mean that the PS6 release date, is the PlayStation 6 release date going to be 2030? Like, is it going to be that far out? I've continued to say that I think they're going to stretch this gen. They're gonna make the PS5 gen last longer. The first couple of years were not great because of the chip shortage. They also have the PS5 Pro. They also said, a year ago they were halfway through this gen. Now Lin Tao is saying that they view that this is kind of the halfway point. But again, the context was seemingly more on support. Well, Nishino comes out during State of Play Japan and says, we want to celebrate 5 years of PS5, and they basically cover the whole slate of their hardware. I think this signals very loudly that a lot of the commentary from people about like this is where the industry's going, exclusives are going away and consoles will be a thing of the past. PlayStation and Sony are saying, no, we are a hardware-centric company. So when we're going to celebrate 5 years of PlayStation, we've got a portable device that you can remote in or play cloud. We've got speakers. We've got a monitor. We've got the DualSense. We've got the PS5. And if that's how they celebrate the 5-year mark, I think they're really, really cementing themselves as we are console, we are hardware-centric. I also think their recent marketing push is very much the antithesis of everything Xbox has been saying. I don't think PlayStation's strategy in China or Asia or Japan is in reaction to Xbox. But what I do think was a reaction to Xbox was marketing that says it happens on PS5. Xbox is basically saying everything is an Xbox, and PlayStation is saying everything happens on PlayStation. It's a complete reverse strategy. Instead of saying we're going to go everywhere people are, PlayStation's like, we want to bring all the people to us. This is why their efforts in China are, I think, one of their secret weapons. I think that is an effort to grow a console base after being told that, you can't grow consoles. So if they push into these markets successfully and they get a better foothold in Japan, all eyes then turn to the PlayStation 6. If they can convince people to buy a game on PC, or maybe they launch a PC launcher. I was talking about this morning in Morning Coffee. It's very possible that the ideology of Steam only and the ideology of like, I don't want to install another launcher If that's not shared by a lot of users in China, then a PlayStation launcher is not a big deal. Like, they might not care. Like, the PC crowd in China is so huge, and if PlayStation puts out a launcher, that may be why that cross-buy logo showed up, is one of the theories that we're working with right now. If they can get a good chunk of the Chinese audience to say, we don't care about loading up another launcher, like let's say they want to play Yote when it finally comes to PC, or Spider-Man 3, and if they're like, we don't care, like, why would we care about that? Like, I wonder if a lot of the sort of beholden, opinions about, like, I'm only going to use Steam, what if that's not globally shared in regions like India and China, where there are millions upon millions of players who could buy your game? And the theory would be that if they did a PlayStation launcher, which I'm on record as thinking is a bad idea, they might think it's a good idea, because they could say, listen, if you want to play Yote, if you want to play Spider-Man 3 when it finally comes to PC, you can play it on our launcher exclusively. You can buy it there for the first 12 months, for the first 6 months or whatever. They get 100% of the revenue. They're not revenue splitting with Steam. It's a great way to cut out anybody buying something maybe on Project Magnus. I don't know. Cross-buy then pulls you into their ecosystem. If you buy the game in their launcher, maybe in the future when it's time to update hardware, you're looking at the PlayStation 6 and thinking, that's not bad. Maybe you're looking at this future handheld we're hearing about, and you're like, hey, that's not a bad price, and my games will be there because of cross-buy. So they could be attempting, again, to bring everything around the hardware, bring everything around what they offer and sell as a company. And I think 5 years celebrating all those things is significant. Another thing that's significant and worthy of note, this was the first ever State of Play Japan. They've never done this before. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, this would be kind of crazy, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if you could see a future State of Play China, a State of Play India. They could say, listen, these markets are enormous. You go in, you get a famous Chinese actor or voice actor to do it. It makes it there was something very Nintendo also about the State of Play Japan. It felt like a Nintendo Direct a little bit and how they structured it. But there was just something, very charming and friendly about it. And I think when you do something like that, you can really, win over a particular culture or audience, which I think it is funny watching American, dudes get on their YouTube channels and Twitter feeds being like, who the frick was this for? Not you, and that's okay, okay? We're not the only market. We're not the only gamers in the world. Pushing for growth in markets where consoles are not strong is, again, I think, another repudiation of a lot of the narratives we've seen about how, like, consoles are stagnating, they're going away, you can't grow. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we walk into the PlayStation 6 era and we say, oh, wow, PlayStation saw growth. We're already seeing growth in their MAU numbers. GTA 6 isn't out yet. Call of Duty hasn't left behind PS4 yet. These are other factors that will drive people to buy PS5. And then they're pushing into markets where they have not had a presence before, or they've had a weakened presence like in Japan. Wouldn't surprise me in the least if we walk into the PlayStation 6 era and we say, oh, wow, they were actually able to grow their console footprint and have more people than last time. So the State of Play Japan reaction from me was pretty mixed. It was like, okay, a lot of these games I'm never going to touch. They're not really for me, and that's okay. I generally go into these events with that mindset. If 75% of a showcase doesn't interest me, I usually celebrate that as a good thing. It means there's a lot of different gamers seeing something that will appeal to them. That strengthens the global gaming market. That strengthens the user base. And the more people that are in the user base and the market and spending money, the healthier it is and the longer that all this lasts. So I think PlayStation's being aggressive, but those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts in the live audience. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. I greatly appreciate you being here. Try and get us to the first 100 likes of the day. Get us to that 12 mark. And I have good news. This morning, Polarin secured the goal for the week. He dropped the 20 bomb. As soon as Morning Coffee was unlisted, he was allowed to do that. And you guys are blessed by that. So this Friday night, we're going to do another session of Madam and Lono playing Arc Raiders, and they just made updates to duos, so it's been updated and we should have an easier time. Not that we had a hard time, but I have some people to thank as well. Drug Doc with 16 months of support on Purple. Let me add you to the total. And then 9 months from Monkus over there as well. We're now working on stretch. If we hit 750, we will do a community game night with Arc Raiders And we will do that on Saturday. I woke up this morning, saw growth. Huh? Oh, are you being nasty? You're being nasty. Crying about launchers is the biggest entitled crybaby miss I've ever seen. I understand why people don't want to get a second launcher. There was a time there, where like it felt like you had to open up a different launcher for every game. Yep, they had to open up Ubisoft's launcher. You had to open up Origin. You had to open up a lot of stuff. You have a question? Go ahead. I don't know. When every showcase is 75% bad, that's not a good ratio. 75% bad according to who, though? What do you mean? Like, if I watched a showcase and it was 100% appealing to me, that would be a bad showcase, because like the rest of the world, the rest of the global gaming community doesn't have my preferences. You should never expect to walk away from a showcase and be like, oh man, every single thing appealed to me and my preferences. Like, you're assuming that it's 75% bad. I didn't say bad. I said 75% of it doesn't appeal to me. I think that's a good thing. Like, I don't know, sports games and driving games are enormous and they don't appeal to me. Cutesy cozy games don't appeal to me. Like, anime waifu games don't appeal to me. Homie, those are enormous industries of games and players, and that doesn't make the showcase bad if it's got games in there like that. Like, if they make up a portion of the showcase, if half of the games that show up are, a sport game, a racing game, a cutesy anime game, so what? That doesn't make it bad. It just means that those are not games for me. Would you like to do a demo with me for a contest? I'm at work. I need to get it done, as many demos as I can by the end of the month. I'm not. I don't know what this is, and I'm not. Don't listen. Don't come into streams and do that. Like, that's not what we're doing here. I'm working right now, bro. Synonym for bad, I suppose, is uninteresting then. I didn't even say bad. Yo, Damien, thank you so much for a gifted member. I appreciate it. I didn't say bad. I said if I walk away from a showcase, then 25% of the stuff appealed to me, I think that's a good thing. I celebrate that. It means a bunch of stuff was shown that will appeal to... Like, imagine they show a game that they know for a fact is going to appeal to the Chinese audience or the Korean audience or the Japanese audience, right? They know it's going to be popular with that audience. Maybe it's a long-standing franchise. Maybe it's including... a voice actor or somebody who's beloved in that culture. And you see it and you go, what the frick was that? That is not a bad thing. Like, that's a good thing. If you like a given platform, Stone Spire gifts a member. He's trying to attempt an early day 20 bomb. We already had one from Polarin. The next milestone is 525, and Stone Spire wants to see it. Like, think of it this way. A lot of people that tune into the State of Play are PlayStation fans, and then they're the quickest to complain. They're like, well, that was dumb, that was stupid, that was lame. And it's like, if you want PlayStation to be successful, they have to appeal to more than America. We only make up like 27% of the PlayStation 5s that have been sold. They can't make every game to appeal to our sentimentality. I also think it was very well stated this morning by Eugene in Morning Coffee. A lot of these guys that have said that, Eastern developers will save us, Japanese and Chinese developers will save us, I don't think they want Japanese games. I think they want Japanese developers to make Western games because, the aesthetic, the artistic view, a lot of the philosophy of beauty and how women are treated in, Japanese or Asian-made content. The women are incredibly voluptuous and wearing very little clothing. That's not shade. That's a general trend that you can see. And they're like, oh, they're going to save us. That's the future of gaming, or that's going to be the promised land. And then you see a bunch of Japanese games and you go, who is this for? Well, I thought they were going to save us. I thought they were going to be, our salvation from Western wokeness. Well, apparently you don't really want Japanese games. Or Korean or Chinese games. You want Japanese developers to make games that appeal to Westerners. That's what you want. You don't actually want a Japanese game. Thank you so much, Raijin, for ordering 3 bags of the dark roast. I appreciate that. Guys, we do have a huge sale on the coffee right now. We've been doing the coffee for years. This is not white label. This is roasted to our liking and our flavor matching with a company that then bags it and ships it to me. It's in my house. My wife and kiddos ship this to you. And we are trying to move through the medium and the light roast. $10.95 a bag, cheaper than almost anywhere you can buy coffee right now. And it's high value, high quality coffee. But we got to move through the inventory. We're going to strip everything down to the dark roast. Ghost of Yote should definitely win Game of the Year. I don't agree with that. It's my favorite game this year, but I don't think it deserves Game of the Year. I think that goes to Expedition 33. Depends on the dev. Ninja Gaiden devs have always been about the baddies. There's nothing wrong with making a game with baddies or booba. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I know I missed an opportunity to rhyme there, but I didn't want to do it. LOL, who is this for? It's a State of Play Japan. I wonder who it's for. It's in the name, right? Matt. They're going to do a State of Play China, and people are going to be like, who is all this for? I don't know. I mean, maybe read the name of the dadgum event, you know? It would be like going to a convention, you know? And it's like the Grandmothers Knitting Convention, Grandmothers of America. And you're like, who is all this for? And it's like, look at the title of the event, you dummy. You see Shroud telling all of his viewers to make sure Expedition 33 doesn't win Game of the Year and to give it to Ark? Well, I don't know if Shroud understands how the Game of the Year voting works, but the audience has almost no say. So, and yes, I've seen the clip. Part of him was memeing. I mean, he said multiplayer gamers are the minority. Like, come the frick on, bro. We all know that's not true. I think some of it was a gag more than anything. It's such an absurd take. I'm genuinely in a bad mood right now. Who is this for? I just loved it. I love seeing all the guys that are like, you know, Eastern and Eastern developers are going to save us. And then you get a State of Play for Japan with a famous Japanese voice actor, and they're like, this is stupid. Who's this for? It's like, I thought you'd be so excited about this. I thought you were all about, you know, Japanese games or Chinese games. I thought you were about Asian culture and Eastern developers. Don't you want to play a game where, you know, you're farming cupcakes? I mean, come on. It's so funny to me. It's like they don't know what they're maybe they don't know what they're talking about, you know, and they see a game made by a Korean developer and like a game made by a Japanese developer, and they're like, well, that's what they make. Those are all the games they make. It's like, well, that's one game that they've made. Jiminy Christmas. How do you grow the Eastern gaming market? By showing all single-player Western action games. That's exactly right, Mick. That's exactly right. The idea, and that's why I think that the PlayStation's being aggressive. If you stack up everything they did, like in my show open, I walked through everything they've done. I don't think this is all a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that they pushed Cloud onto the portal the week before they did a State of Play Japan for the first time ever. I don't think that was a coincidence. I don't think it was a coincidence that Nishino was there talking about the last, you know, celebrating 5 years of the PlayStation 5 and really, really pushing hardware. They're a hardware company. Japan also has more female gamers. The demographics are different. That's another thing you have to consider is when you see those cutesy, cozy games, we know those tend to appeal to women more than men. I'm not saying they're made for women more than men. They tend to appeal to women more than men. So before you get all upset and throw your waifu body pillow at me, okay? Like, you're allowed to play the cutesy cozy games. But you can tell, like, the cutesy cozy games tend to appeal and trend toward women, especially if you go into like a Japanese, Korean, or Chinese market where you look at like just the clothing they wear, the makeup, the little cute bags they get, like all of it. It's very much you're going to see that aesthetic and those cozy games appealing, you know, to those gamers. And that doesn't mean you can't play those games and they're not made for you, but you can definitely see that's the market that they're targeting. So it shouldn't be surprising that a bunch of American guys watched that state of play and thought, who is this for? Well, it's but almost all of it's not for you. Japan is filled with Japanese gamers. You would be shocked. It's like mostly Japanese people. You would be shocked. Yes, you would be quite shocked. I also really wonder, like, what their goal then is with the PS5 this gen. And guys, the question and answer queue is completely wide open. If you want to submit questions about anything that's been going on with this, with PlayStation, with the PS5, with the marketing, there's a clip of Reggie, talking about how Xbox needs PlayStation, the console war's over. If you've got questions about anything going on, submit those questions. That's a perk that you get as members. Use !Q or !question in chat to use those features. People love Japanese games, stating they like Dark Souls, Medieval Europe Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, American protagonist, and Resident Evil, American characters. What typical genre does the Western audience gravitate to? Most popular? Probably the modern shooter. Like and sports games. If I had to put if we're placing bets, it would be like your modern shooters like COD, battle royales as well are in there. Shooters. We'll just say shooters. And then sports games. And then racing games probably. Those are probably your big three. That's like your big trifecta that appeals to the Western audience. And then once you leave those areas and those arenas, open world, Western RPGs, action RPGs, those are probably pretty popular in America. Fighting games is probably somewhere in the top, somewhere in the mix, I would think. Family games are somewhere in there. That's a pretty big category. Mario, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart. Those are probably also very popular in America. GTA's in the big three. Yeah, GTA to me has got to be up there. Yeah, that's kind of GTA is sort of like a shooter game, open world game. It's it's kind of both. It kind of checks a couple of boxes, but yes. Your cutesy anime game is actually very interesting and emotionally complex. I personally enjoy playing those games so that I can experience the full depth of my feelings. No, I don't think it's cringe and girly to enjoy those characters. I actually have a full shelf next to my bed of figurines and pictures. That's right, Parasito. Yeah, shooters and sports are probably king in the West. I mean, do we need to say it? I mean, we like our guns and we like our sports. That's just, that's America. It shouldn't surprise you that games are a reflection of that. Why no Team Asobi yesterday? I was kind of hoping they would be here. Yeah. Lono in his Oprah voice, look under your chairs. Yes, everybody gets a body pillow for watching the State of Play Japan. Everybody gets a discount code. That's right. There was a company that wanted to work with me, and they made, banger hoodies and shirts, but their biggest product that they sold were body pillows, and I couldn't bring myself to do it. I couldn't. It's not that I take myself too seriously. I just thought the brand alignment was way off. I couldn't bring myself to pull up a platform and a website and a storefront that sells anime body pillows. That's wrong, Lono. If what you said was true, then the top game every year would be an eating simulator. Well, I would say Americans prefer the real thing. Why do an eating simulator when you can just eat, Zubair? Come on. The fridge and the snack closet's right there. Why am I going to play an eating simulator? You know what I'm saying? I just get up and go grab the food. It's right there. I can't be on the NBA court or in a race car or in a war just by walking across my living room. But I can eat anytime I want. This is the stupidest conversation I've ever had. Name of the website, please. I can't remember the name of it, if I'm honest with you. I really can't. It's somewhere in my email. I should work with them now and be like, listen, I've had a change of heart. I've had a change of heart, boys. Playing eating simulator while actively eating. That's right. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button, make sure and hit the like button. We're about 30 minutes into the show. We've got no questions submitted in the question queue. You can jump in line. About an hour into the show, we do Q&A. Take your questions about all the things that have been happening with PlayStation. What do you guys think on PS6 timing here? Let's talk about that. PlayStation 6 release timing in relation to everything we've heard in the past couple of days. Yeah, I mean, somebody is agreeing with me, and I said this yesterday. This 100% is playing a role here. Industry analysis: the next Xbox and PlayStation consoles may be delayed because of GTA 6. So, Piers Harding Rolls, Ampere Analytics Games Research Director, told GameIndustry.biz that GTA 6 will have a significant impact on console sales dynamics in 2026, possibly enough to delay next-gen hardware. Listen, I literally made this argument yesterday, and this is what I said. If GTA 6 comes out at the end of 2026, I don't think you want to utter the word PS6 in 2027. I don't think you want to. That's the last thing you want to do. Like, all of 2027, because if GTA 6 comes out at the end of next year, that's only, 2 months or whatever. All of 2027, you're just getting a nice boost to selling your PS5, and you don't have to do anything. You just get to sit back. You just get to sit back. People are just going to finally get off their PS4s. Why? They're going to want to play GTA 6. Not only that, I think 2027 is when Call of Duty finally drops old gen. I don't think Call of Duty drops old gen next year. I don't think it does. And here's my argument. You know they're going to see a reduction in sales next year because of GTA. But you will also see a reduction in Call of Duty sales whenever they finally leave behind PlayStation 4. They know they will. They know they'll see a reduction in sales. They're not going to want to get hit from both sides next year. I think it's one of the reasons that Call of Duty was on old gen this year. They were anticipating a reduction of sales because of GTA 6, so they built Call of Duty for both platforms. That next year's COD's going to be on both platforms. I would bet money on that because they know we're going to get a reduction of sales because of GTA. Why would we add to that reduction of sales by also leaving behind one of our biggest platforms, the PS4? So that would mean that in 2027, you finally have Call of Duty leave behind PS4. So if you're PlayStation and you're watching GTA 6 impact your sales numbers, and then Call of Duty gets announced, and Call of Duty gets announced for PS5, Series X, Series S, PC only, Call of Duty for, 2027 finally leaves behind PS4, that's another boost for PS5 sales saturation. So a lot of you guys that are putting 2028 in the chat, I think you're right. I think a late 2028 release is when the PS6 shows up. I think that's when I do. And then I think 2030 is the last year that you get games made from first party for PS5. I think 2031 is the first time they drop PS6 only first party games because that's 3 years after the PlayStation 6 is in circulation. Extending the life of support of the PS5 to 10 whole years, 2020 to 2030. That's the timeline. That's the timeline. I also think in the realm of PlayStation hardware, I think next year we get a better version of the Portal, possibly with an OLED. The year after that, 2027, they launch the handheld, and then 2028, they launch the PS6. I think they have hardware for each year. That's my prediction. Next year is a better Portal. Year after that's the handheld. Year after that's the PlayStation 6. That's my current prediction based off of everything that's been said and GTA 6 and everything else. You're looking at winter 2027, spring of 2028. I think they're releasing a PSP alongside of it. I don't think they can really hold back too far because finalized product is already decided. Scott, did you see what Nintendo Switch 2 did, though? Finalized product was decided, and they delayed a year. They made everybody wait, basically, 8 months. because they wanted to be able to meet demand. I think even though you're in production and even though you've got units made and you've got them stored somewhere, it doesn't mean you have to ship. You got to think about what GTA 6 is doing to the calendar. I don't think you want to walk out in 2027 and start talking about a PS6. You don't want to do that. Now, when I was on the phone with Creature yesterday, he disagreed with me. He's like, what difference does it make to PlayStation? If in 2027 you're finally getting off the PS4 and you've got options, you can get the PS5, the PS5 Pro, or the PS6. You're finally leaving behind the PS4. That doesn't feel right to me. I don't think they'd want to money the marketing. I think they want crystal clear marketing. Now is the best time to be on PS5, and they'll have like GTA 6 bundles. Allegedly there are Fortnite bundles coming for the holiday season. They're putting the pedal all the way down. I don't think they're going to try to slow down at all. And I think you would significantly slow yourself down if you were trying to sell a PS6 in the year where you finally get the last 40 to 50 million people off a PS4. GTA 6 is going to be a tectonic presence in the industry. They're either rushing to beat or waiting for tariffs to settle down. Silicon importing is hurting for holiday season. Well, that could also have an effect on production of PS6 if they're hoping all that stuff calms down and they're hoping all that stuff settles. Nintendo is a different animal, personally speaking. Sony relies on hardware. PS6 would sell like hotcakes with GTA 6. It would sell even better if there was like a GTA 6 version for it, Scott, which would be far more justified, not a year later, but 2 years later. Rockstar's got to be. This is what I think Rockstar's doing. I think they're going to have GTA 6 on PC within 6 months. I think within 6 months of release, GTA 6 will be on PC. Strauss-Zelnick made it very clear GTA is going to PC faster this time. That market is freaking enormous, and they know it. And they love a double dip, but they also love money, and that's a big audience to make wait too long. And I know that they can make people wait about as long as possible, but after this many delays and after his comments about PC, I think GTA 6 is on PC within 6 months. And if that's what they're going to do, I don't think you want to be trying to sell, because again, they're going to want to probably have updated versions for the PS6 that they could sell 2 years later. And again, that's a Rockstar thing. That's not necessarily a PlayStation thing. Rockstar also might push Sony to wait on PS6 as well. You want a good year of GTA 6 sales before promoting a new console and possible GTA 6 upgrade. That's exactly right, Jesse. That's exactly what I'm thinking. If there's a company that PlayStation would be like, okay, we want to play nice with these guys, we want to be in a good relationship with these guys, it's friggin' Rockstar. That's probably one of the only developers and publishers out there that like PlayStation's going to be like, yeah, we want to play nice with these guys. They're going to be so good for us. Like if you really, really think about console saturation, which is one of the primary goals of PlayStation, GTA is going to play a significant role in their aims and their goals. A $2 super chat from Supremacy said, well, there's COD, Doritos, Mountain Dew annual combo. I'm not sure what you're commentating on. Thank you for the $2 super chat tip. Yeah, I mean, that typically happens, every year. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube, do me a real quick favor and smash that like button. Try to get us to 200 likes. That does help more people find this video. And if you've tuned in for the first time today and you want to talk about the State of Play Japan, my State of Play Japan reaction, it was pretty mixed, because it's not really for me. Airwood, thank you so much for buying a best of both worlds, getting the light roast and the dark roast. If you guys are coffee drinkers and you're like, man, coffee's so expensive, everything's expensive right now, we are selling our medium blend and our light roast blend. This bag has seen better days. It's been kind of beat up in the office here. We are selling our medium roast and light roast for $10.95 a bag. So you can benefit from us trying to move through our inventory, because that's a very low price. And Barrett's Chosen comes in with a single gifted. The 20 bomb setup was there for a while. Thank you, Stone Spire, for doing that. And thank you, Barrett's Chosen, for moving the line. Parasito says, PlayStation 6 North America will likely be manufactured domestically with the new TSMC foundation starting up by 2030. calling Red Dead 2 a disappointment? Wait, Andrew says Red Dead Redemption 2 was too much of a disappointment to make a remaster? They should just do a 60 FPS update? Can you expound on what you mean? Why are you calling it a disappointment? It's like one of the it's hailed as one of the best games maybe like ever? Some people think it's like one of the best games ever. It was a Game of the Year nominee, 4th best-selling game of all time, but it's a disappointment. Yeah, Eugene is right to point that out. Like, one of the best-selling games ever, nominated for awards. For many people, they think that it is like the quintessential video game. It is like the game. What was disappointing? You're allowed to be disappointed. Let me rephrase. You are allowed to be disappointed in a game, but you spoke as if it was just a disappointment. Does that make sense? Like, you didn't say, oh, I found it disappointing. Well, that's fine. I mean, anybody can play a game and not think it's that great. You spoke as if, like, yeah, it's just a disappointment. Like, what? Like, how? It's more accurate to say it looks so good it doesn't need a remaster. Generally speaking, I think the graphical fidelity in Red Dead Redemption 2 is nipping at the heels of this gen. I think this gen has left it behind. I think people commonly try to cite Red Dead Redemption 2 as if it still looks as good as games now. I don't think so. I think AC Shadows with global illumination, I think Yote, I think Death Stranding 2, I think are leagues better looking. But I still think Red Dead's like right there behind them. It's aged incredibly well. But I think the further and further away we get from it, your texture detail and your lighting detail is going to consistently look more dated as time goes on. It still is such a gorgeous game. If you gave me 60 FPS right now, I'd be playing that dadgum game. Because it looks like a modern game. It really does. It does not look like a dated game at all. You just have to give it better frames per second. 30 FPS is just going to make it feel old because it's going to look stuttery. It doesn't look as good, but the animation work is far better. Well, it's really what Red Dead offers isn't just like fidelity. It's a whole package of excellent art direction, the clothing design, character design, voice acting, writing. As a whole package, it just delivers the goods, and it feels very much out of time. It almost feels like a present-day game transplanted back there. Combat is where it's probably the roughest. I never found the combat and the shooting to be that great. But, like, for a 7-year-old game, if you do a touch-up on it now and give it 60, it would look like a game today. It would look like it would stand next to all the games that have come out in our current era. It really is a whole package. It just really is the shooting. That was the only thing I remember not really liking. And that was, part of the problem with that was I was coming from Destiny. I mean, you come from a game like Destiny into a game like that, and the shooting's just not going to feel, as nice. It's 30 FPS on consoles? Yes, it is. There's been a rumored 60 FPS patch for a very, very long time. Yeah. For a very, very long time. The story makes grown men cry. I withdraw my previous take. If it's only 30, it needs a remaster. Yeah, like Eugene said, a touch-up. Yeah, a remaster would do the job. Get us to 60, clean up some of the textures and lighting, because that's where you'll notice it feeling a little bit more dated. Outside of that, I don't think you need to do much with it. He keeps doubling down on his take with bad information. Okay, what's he saying? Red Dead Revolver was better than Red Dead 2? Okay. People who know the Rockstar community know what I'm saying. Many people didn't like the game after buying it, which is why the online completely flopped. People are tired of the bad shooting mechanics. I don't really think your position is compelling. Number one, there's a fallacy in there somewhere of being like, well, if you speak to the real Rockstar community, you'll know what I'm talking about. That sounds very like special knowledge, like, well, yeah, you guys just don't know. That's not really compelling. Because anybody could say that, could they not? Couldn't they say, well, if you really know what the Rockstar community thinks, what the heck? Anybody could claim that. That's not really quantifiable. It also could just be completely bias-laden, like you hang out with a group of guys that don't like the game. Second, online, as far as I know, it didn't necessarily flop. It just didn't get the support that it needed. And that really frustrated the online community who wanted the online components to be better. The core game was highly praised. The most consistent criticism you'll see in people that played the main game is the shooting. They'll say, yeah, the shooting doesn't feel that great. Anybody who says the shooting is fine or the combat's fine, I mean, come on. You don't need to hand wave that. Like, that's the one thing that'll consistently come up with people, that like the shooting just doesn't feel that great in the game. It feels a little dated and a little clunky. The Rockstar community I'm part of says he's wrong. Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, you could run to pockets of any community and make a game look amazing or terrible, depending on who you talk to. So that's not very compelling. And I don't think anything else you said is compelling, because it sounds like you're trying to hitch the game's wagon to the lack of support for online. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I feel like Red Dead was seen as a triumph in game design, and online was disappointing for a variety of reasons specific to Red Dead Online. I remember trying to roleplay in Red Dead Online with proximity chat, and I couldn't get it to work at the time. With my setup and my audio and stuff, we couldn't get it to work. I couldn't get the mic to work. Revolver was fun, but you have a better argument with Red Dead 1? I mean, I am certain you could find a good number of people who thought Red Dead 1 was better than 2. I don't think that's not a debate worth having, in my opinion, because that's just people having a difference of opinion on a game, and many people are going to like the first more than the second. The first is going to be nostalgic. You know, sometimes this happens with music. Like, you'll listen to a band, and the first album that you hear is always your favorite, even if it's like their second, third, or last album. It doesn't really matter. Purists will tell you their first album is the best, and you're like, well, this is the first album I heard, so it's your favorite. That commonly happens in video games as well. You have a stronger love, nostalgia, and attachment to the first game, so like, I don't think debating that is necessarily worthwhile. There's probably plenty of people who are like, well, I think Red Dead 1 is better. I think that that's fine, and they're free to think that. What we were pushing back on was the notion that, like, Red Dead 2 was such a disappointment that they shouldn't do anything with it. And again, his argumentation was that well, the online was bad, but it was actually weird the way he argued it. He argued that the online flopped because the game was so bad. And I'm like, I feel like the online didn't go well because of the lack of support. They had all kinds of problems whenever they rolled out online stuff. I remember trying to engage with it, and there were lots of problems. Revolver had better shooting mechanics, which was a PS2 game. They can do better. Well, now we've got a very different discussion on the table, and I don't think anybody would necessarily disagree with the premise, with the overarching theme of what you're saying. There are plenty of people who would say and agree with you, they can do better with the shooting mechanics. I don't know if you could find even the most hardcore Red Dead Redemption 2 fan would likely agree and say, yeah, they could do a better job with the shooting. I don't think they would say, no, it's perfect. Like, so now we're having a very different discussion. Like, I think the shooting in Red Dead 2 is universally agreed, like, it's not the best and could be better. Some people are probably a little bit more critical and say that it's terrible. Others are like, it's serviceable. But I think we would all agree, yeah, it could be better. It wasn't the shining star of the game. The shining star of the game was open world, exploration, the characters, the story, the voice acting, the writing, the design, the tone, the art direction. It was like, I got to work with Sam Strelitz. She voices one of the characters in the game, and like, people love her and follow her, and that's all she did. She was just one of the characters in the game. Like, that's how popular the game is. I mean, people follow her for other reasons because she's gorgeous, but she's known and has like a following because she voiced a character in Red Dead 2. Like, that's crazy. There was a guy who hosted the Future Games and voiced Arthur, and everyone's like, oh, we know that guy. Like, everybody knows him, why? Because he voiced a character in Red Dead. Like, Red Dead 2 is very popular. Very popular. Let me check the question queue. All right, we have 3 questions in the queue. We got some about, it looks like GTA 6. We have some about the PlayStation Portal, the PS Portal update. the PS6 release date, the PlayStation handheld. A lot of questions in here about that. If you've got questions or ideas or things you want to talk about with Sony, with the State of Play Japan, I'm arguing that PlayStation's being aggressive. I think they're being aggressive. I think if you look at their earnings call and the way they're targeting things, talking about things, the way they're pushing into different markets, and the way that they're handling their presence in Asia specifically, I feel like PlayStation's being pretty aggressive. And I think that is, and especially yesterday, is a very strong repudiation to a lot of the notions that have been out there for a while. So there's plenty to talk about. Red Dead just kind of came up in passing here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you can look at this. I mean, Jiminy Christmas. If they ever needed a reason to frickin' update this dadgum game and resell it, good lord. A 91% on Steam, 41,000 people playing right now. We know Rockstar likes to get the double dip. We know you like to get the double dip. Man, get your double dip on. I'll buy it again. I'll buy it again. She's Mary Beth. Yeah. I got to work with her. Yeah, I got to work with her in New York City. I got to work with her in New York City for the Intel Game Night. Yeah. I think this might even be, yeah, this is the place where we did it. This is the studio where we did it. So in the back are the players. And this is a different event that she was there for. But I was at this studio. That looks like that's for PUBG. That was a PUBG event. It looks like in the background there. We did a Fortnite event together. She was awesome. She was super nice, super friendly. Like sometimes you expect like people that are either well known and like really attractive and like somewhat like micro fame celebrity. You expect them to be like standoff, aloof, and like unkind. She was like one of the nicest people I've ever met. She was super cool. We were gonna all hang out, me and one of the other guys that was hosting. We were all gonna hang out and like have dinner and drinks, and everybody was flying out the next day. But it was the only night I could hang out with Wish You Luck from Destiny, because he lives in at the time he lived in New York, so he came and picked me up. So yeah, we were all gonna hang out. I was hanging out with them, and then he pulled up and I had to go. So that was the last night in New York. Baddie. I mean, she is 100% baddie, but she's also like, again, like she's so nice. And she's one of the characters in Red Dead 2, and one of the reasons she gets these hosting opportunities is because she's known for that. Right? Like when you're a good-looking person, you get hosting opportunities, but that's not the only reason. You've got to be good on the mic, you got to be talented, you got to be sharp, you got to be fast and likable. And Red Dead 2 undoubtedly probably opened a lot of those doors for her, which is a testimony to like how big and popular that game is. There were articles that Rockstar was always disappointed in the online players' count numbers, similar to EA with Titanfall. Okay. So I guarantee you're going to get a lot of agreement from people if you have grievances with the Red Dead Online. If you have grievances with Red Dead Online, how it was handled and how it was not successful, homie, a bunch of people are going to line up to agree with you. Likeable, that's going to be an issue for you, for sure. Not sure what happened to him. I'm not sure what happened with Wish either. I think he got into another line of business. Like he got out of content creation. I mean, good for him, because I mean it's a rough world to stay in. It's a rough waters to try to continue to swim in all these years. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. So, if you guys are watching on YouTube and you have not hit the like button yet, double check that it saved your like. Sometimes YouTube has been a little funky lately. So minimize the stream, hit that thumbs up. Especially you guys that lurk. That's a really, really easy way to support what I do. Hit that lurk. Hit that like, while you lurk. Try to get us to 200 likes before the first hour of the broadcast is over. And we got 3 questions and 3 questions only. So feel free to submit questions that are, more broad on topic. If you don't have questions about the PS6, the PlayStation 5, the PS Portal, the State of Play Japan. You got caught cheating? State of Play Japan. The 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 State I thought he was playing. No, I thought he was playing with cheaters. I think you guys are rewriting history here. I thought he was playing with cheaters. I don't think he was actually running, which, I mean, that's still wrong. But I don't think he was actually running the cheats himself. I think he was doing, wasn't he running trials, carries, and running with a known cheater? Yeah, he was doing PlayStation scalping. I remember that. He's got the goods on some people, and he never wanted to go forward with it. It always frustrated me. He's got a doozy of a story that would really be interesting if it ever comes to light. Yo, Dylan with a gifted member, thank you so much. People believe and bought Red Dead 2 for the story. After finishing it, people wanted more Red Dead and started playing Red Dead Online after. Nope, him too. I don't remember. I remember following the story, and I remember talking about it, but I don't remember what the conclusion was. My memory of the conclusion was that he was playing with known cheaters, admitted to it, and that was kind of the end. He was never cheating. He was playing with cheaters, but he was also doing carries, which Bungie was trying to crack down on because he was using people's accounts to get them what they paid for. Yeah, he was doing recoveries. Yeah. He was cheating too? I don't remember that. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. If you're knowingly playing with people cheating in order to carry them to the lighthouse, you know what I'm saying? If I'm the getaway car and you break into somebody's home and steal all their stuff, like, I'm just as guilty, boys. Like, come on, what are we saying? It kind of doesn't matter. Said it filed a formal legal claims against Rockstar for firing 30+ employees. Rockstar said the employees were leaking information. The IWGB calls it union busting. More to come. Yeah, that sounds like they're legally passing in the night. They're saying, hey, you were leaking information. And they're like, you're union busting. It's like, do you deny the allegations that you were leaking information? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds like they're kind of passing in the night, you know? It's like, hey, you stole vehicles. Yeah, well, you're union busting. Well, wait, hang on a minute. Did you steal the vehicles or not? Like, it doesn't really sound like a defense. It sounds like a legal red herring to me. Like a company with that many employees. Are you trying to union bust 30 people? Like, all right. I mean, I saw a commentary on it that essentially said that they'll just settle, pay millions to the settlement or whatever, and then they'll just move on. They'll just rather do that. Did Rockstar specifically say leak? I thought they said that they were discussing privilege info in a Discord, not the same as leaking. I mean, this is a Bloomberg quote from Jason Schreier. Rockstar said the employees were leaking information. I mean, we're getting a little pedantic, are we not? If you're discussing privilege info in a Discord, that you categorically, that could be leaking information. Do you know what I'm saying? New Arc map tomorrow? There's a new map tomorrow. Well. If you guys are new and just tuning in, make sure and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell button. I'm a Safe for Work broadcaster over here on YouTube. It's a day-to-day talk show. And we're talking about PlayStation. We're talking about the State of Play Japan. We had speculation a little bit ago about the PlayStation 6 release date. Something else that's kind of come out of the recent earnings calls is that Bungie isn't doing so hot. And very curious what their future looks like. Very curious what their future looks like with what they have done. Essentially, it was explained to me this way in Morning Coffee. Zubair explained it as the impairment loss is not like cash loss. It's asset value depreciation. Like, as an asset, Bungie is now worth less. What happened here? My browser is no longer defaulting. Like, Windows did an update last night, And now all of a sudden, here we go. Here we go. Make default. Get the frick out of here. Like, I'm opening up links from the Discord. It's opening up Edge. Excuse me. All right, so this was one of the rumored things that was coming from PlayStation. Hang on, let me go 50-50 on this for the view. Jump into Fortnite with the PS5 console Fortnite Flowering Chaos bundle, available starting November 21st. We'll take a look at the price here. The PS5 bundle includes 1,000 V-Bucks, Florin outfit with the Lego style, Blossom backpack, floral finisher, Blossom this, pedal edge, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they are okay. This is again in line with what I'm talking about. This feels aggressive, like from PlayStation, aligning with like one of the largest live service games out there to sell a bundle that's it's not available yet. They just have a link to their page or whatever. Available November 22nd. Now, that's the Saturday before like Thanksgiving. Sorry, Lona, to repost, but was there certain amounts of coffee that were better to ship due to packaging? I can't remember what it is now, Kage. Just add stuff to the cart and see. I think it's 6. I seriously think it is. I think 6 bags. It's 2 or 6 now, or something like that. I think 2 bags is a really good deal for the shipping, and then 6 bags is a really good deal. No, shipping to the UK is not possible. The shipping outside of America is absurd right now, and it's getting worse. Like, you would buy 2 bags of coffee. The coffee itself's like, like $22. You'd spend like 50 or 60 bucks in shipping. Like, it's dumb. It's like you're going to spend twice as much to ship. It's like, if you want to support me, you're better off gifting members, super chatting, tipping, blessing others, because gifting members blesses other people. You're going to give 50 or 60 bucks to the post office. I just think that's just a complete waste. It's so exorbitant. I thought they stopped selling the 1 terabyte console. Yeah, it did say 1 terabyte at the bottom, didn't it? I wonder if they're pushing through the old inventory for those bundles, and maybe that's why the new ones don't have it. I don't know. I tried to explain this yesterday, but some Twitter financial analyst told me that real-life financial advisor manager that I didn't know what I was talking about. I believed him because he had a blue check mark. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Corey. They had the Fortnite bundle on sale for a couple of months at the Naval Exchange that I shop at. I just think it's clear that they view the market differently. I don't think they view the market as stagnant and one where you can't grow. I think they view the market as, no, we 100% can grow. 100%. They can grow. Shipping outside the U.S. is ridiculously expensive. It is. 4 million copies of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 sold. We can't thank you enough for helping us reach this incredible milestone. I told people that if a multi-plat game hit that kind of a sales milestone, they'd be super excited. Like, Yote launched on one platform and sold 3.3 million. Kingdom Come Deliverance has been out almost the entire year and just hit a 4 million milestone, and that's a multi-plat release. Console and PC. Like, I don't think people understand that, like, 3 million copies sold on one platform, and they want to argue attach rate. I wish there was a way to show them how dumb they sound. Like, it's unfortunate that you can't show them. Like, they can't see it. Or it's dumb on purpose. Like, they know it just generates clicks, but it's like, a multi-plat release is celebrating a 4 million copy sold milestone, and they were on both consoles and PC. Yote was on a single console and sold almost that amount in a month. In a month, they're at 3.3 million. Kingdom Come Deliverance has been out for 7 months and sells 4 million copies, and they're celebrating that. Because that's a great thing. That's a great milestone. That's a lot of game. That's a lot of copies sold. They're now claiming Sony is lying. Well, I told you they would do that, Hangry Higgs. I told you they would do that. I said, when Sony releases the official sales numbers, these guys will say it's a lie, and they'll come up with conspiracy theories that Sony is coping and lying about the sales. So when they say, oh, well, these analyst numbers and these predictions on Yote's sales, I don't believe it. I'll only believe it if Sony says it. Sony comes out and says it, and what do? Well, they say it's not true. They say it's made up. Corey was some dude who didn't know what he was talking about, tried to tell him who did know that he didn't know what he was talking about. So the ways of Twitters. The Bungie news does not mean that Sony is losing money because of Bungie. It means that Bungie isn't worth what they thought they would be worth at this point. Yes. It's not loss of cash. It's an asset that's depreciated in value. And the example I gave this morning is, imagine you buy a house in a neighborhood where the property value is pretty good and headed in a good direction. So you buy the house for $300,000, and in the months that follow, houses are selling for more. House value, is going up. But then they come through and put a highway like in your backyard, basically. Like you look out your backyard and there's a big giant cement wall and there's the interstate. Well, your house value would depreciate. Now, you don't go to the bank and be like, oh no, I've lost cash, I've lost money. But you have an asset that has depreciated in value. The house now would be more difficult to sell for what you paid for it. So, the value of Bungie is lower than what they paid for it. Now, the concern that you would have if you're Bungie is that a really, really fast way to increase the value of a company is to lower operational costs. Because if Bungie's only generating so much revenue in a given year, you can make that balance sheet look a little bit better and the company's value look a little bit better by laying people off. Now, that doesn't necessarily get you back to what you paid for, but it certainly can help adjust. So that's the ultimate question, is what do they decide to do with the asset and the property that is Bungie? Because many people are like, man, PlayStation got ripped off, worst acquisition ever. I don't know if PlayStation knew the situation that Bungie was in. I mean, there's reports that people at Bungie have said that had they not been purchased by PlayStation, that they were headed to a bad financial situation, like a dire situation, basically. If that's true, did PlayStation have any sense of that reality? On a loan, it's called negative equity. Bungie was already in debt. Right. Was PlayStation aware that this was essentially a company in a weakened state? And did they see an opportunity to get a lot of valuable data and information about live service, a lot of talented people, and then a really, really valuable IP? Like the fact that they've absorbed over 200, somewhere between 200 and 300 employees have been absorbed into SIE from Bungie. I have to wonder if that wasn't kind of part of the plan here, was that we'll get the people and the IP. They're in a depressed state. We can get them for a pretty good asking price, even if they paid more than the company was worth at the time, and the company's now depreciated in value. They may still see it as a worthy purchase because of what they're going to get from the company long term. Like long term, PlayStation's annual acquisition spending, $3 billion isn't much in the grand scheme of things. If you're looking at like a 10-year window of like what they're spending and what they're generating and what their plans are. I don't know what PlayStation's view of this is. We'll have to wait and see. If they view it as this was a complete lost cause, what a screw up, I can't believe we did this, Bungie will get Thanos snapped into the ether. I don't know if you would do that with that many talented people, that much institutional knowledge, as well as all that data. I mean, more than a decade of player behavioral data on how people react to DLC, seasons, raids, dungeon strikes, public events, cosmetics, microtransactions, blog posts, streams. Like, they have records and data on everything that they've ever done. And that's very, very instructive to like any future live service endeavors. Long term, if Sony wishes for if Sony pushes for D3, that will pay off. That's the ultimate question, is what's next? Watch streak for Trekkie, my man, dude. 3 streams in a row. Good morning, Trekkie. Welcome back. Guys, make sure on YouTube you've hit that like button. The like count's kind of not moving, and it does that sometimes. I think people get accustomed to me saying that, so they just don't. They forget to press it. Kage goes and grabs 3 bags of the light roast. Thank you so much for doing that, Kage. What do I think they'll do with Bungie? I have a really hard time at the moment making a prediction, but my prediction is based off of my initial gut instinct in that they wanted Bungie for their information, their talent, and their IP. I don't think they wanted Bungie for like what Bungie was worth monetarily. Does that make sense? Think of it this way. You could buy a house for more than it's worth, and you know that inside the house is a safe, and in that safe is blueprints for something more valuable than the house itself. Does that make sense? Like, if they view Bungie in that way, we didn't buy Bungie for their inherent value in the market. We bought them for what's on the inside. They've got blueprints to something that's far more valuable. They've been doing live service for over a decade. They've got people that have built content loops, strikes, guns, cosmetics, seasons. Just the marketing alone, Bungie's marketing, their trailers, the way they position content, they are so good at a lot of the things that you need institutionally to be successful in this market. So I don't know if they looked at Bungie as like a valuable asset that's like, oh, we're going to spend $3.6 billion, but this company's going to be worth $5 billion in a couple of years. Or did they say their information is worth infinitely more than that $3 billion because of what money you can generate from games like Helldivers and Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls? Institutional expertise, precisely. Street Shadow says, I think what they'll do with Bungie is they'll have a come-to-Jesus meeting and say, okay, let's buckle down. You need to shift to Destiny 3. We need that reset. You need that reset. You got to get brand new leadership. You got to be open and honest with the public about what you're doing with the dadgum leadership, because right now you're going to have a hard time getting people to come and want to work at the company. You're going to have a hard time getting people at the company to want to do anything. They've got a severe issue. They've got internal morale problem and public PR problem. Big problems to solve. What if Marathon flops? I don't necessarily think Marathon reflects on Destiny. If anything, Marathon flopping would probably have more people saying, it's time for Destiny 3. This is it. This is your one-string banjo. It's okay to be a one-trick pony if you're jumping through a ring of fire. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to be a one-trick pony if your trick's really dadgum good and pays the bills. Like this idea that, like, this happened with Gearbox. It really did. Randy Pitchford did not want to be known as the Borderlands studio, and they wasted years of time on other things. And when then they finally did Borderlands 3, it was too late. They had kind of lost their way. Now, be honest, Borderlands 4 is kind of getting back on the horse. Like, it did better. It still had soft sales, according to the reports. And the further that I've gone with the game, the less I like it, because I don't think they understand the fundamentals of, like, open world design. They did a good job in the opening area, but the farther you get in Borderlands 4, the open world becomes a nuisance and it becomes annoying. It's not enjoyable. They don't understand the basics of, like, how you empower somebody to navigate an open world in a fun way. And so I think it really, really hurts the gameplay loop in the end. Like, my wife and I are like 65% of the way through the story. And how many hours have we put into the game? 56 hours. So we're getting close to 60 hours in the game, and as far as we can tell, we're not even close to rolling credits. And now I've just stopped doing side quests and open world stuff because it's annoying. I'm just working on the story. I'm like, I want to know what happens in the story. I think we're level 45 or 46 or something like that. But that's the problem, right? Is if you don't want to be known as the one-trick pony, you can waste a lot of time. That's what Gearbox did. Bungie might need to admit that this is not another pivot from Halo time. You pivoted from Halo. You didn't want to do Halo anymore. Microsoft wanted to keep doing Halo, and you pivoted, and then you did Destiny, okay? You had enough of Halo. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't feel like that's the time for that. It feels like the time is restructure leadership, get properly funded from PlayStation, enter some kind of an agreement where they're going to help you publish Destiny 3, because you can no longer be financially dependent on Destiny 2. They need to put Destiny 2 out to pasture and stop adding content to it. You were level 27 when you rolled credits and hit endgame? Did you just straight line the story and not do the open world stuff? We've done so much open world stuff. So much open world stuff. Like, we're level 45 and 46, I think, or 44 and 45. We're somewhere in that ballpark. Mid 40s. A little off topic, I asked you if I should blitz Yote before my daughter's birth, and Madam said that I had time, and I listened to her, and I loved every second. Now my full attention's on her. Hey, that's the way, man. That's the way. Kiddos come first. We're 19 likes away from 200 likes. Guys, we have hit the weekly goal on Wednesday, so now we're working on, if you want to play Arc Raiders with me and Madam, we'll do that on Saturday. So this Friday night, we're going to be playing more Arc Raiders. You guys seem to really like that. And then on Saturday, we will let you join us. We'll let members join us. We'll do a community if we hit that stretch. Imagine loading up Destiny 2 this holiday and making more cookies. You know you're in trouble when Borderlands 3 is catching up. It just wasn't ready. Borderlands 4 was obviously rushed. It wasn't ready. It still doesn't run as good as I'd like it to on console. There's a lot of cobwebs in the game as well. It's weird. It's like it's built on a lot of old stuff. Like in the old Borderlands, like the way you leave some of the instance areas, it's freaking weird. You like fast travel on the map and then walk up to a wall and say that you'd like to leave. It's really, really bizarre. It's like Borderlands 1 is still somehow in the scaffolding of the game. It's very, very weird. So, yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. All right, let's start combing through these questions. We got a couple in here. You guys can add to the question queue. Use that question command, exclamation point question or exclamation point Q, and submit questions about stuff going on in gaming, particularly PlayStation, the PlayStation State of Play Japan, the PS6, the PS Portal. There's a lot of PlayStation stuff from yesterday that we've been talking about with, I feel like they're being very aggressive. Parasito says, with Sony moving to dominate the gaming hardware market, do you think that they will bring other departments in to add connectivity while on the go? 5G or make their own telecom system? I don't necessarily think they would be in the business of building their own telecom system, because a lot of the times you can just enter into an agreement with the tower. Like, they're sharing towers, and a lot of the times the antennas are like already there or whatever. So I would not expect that. Now, as far as like adding more connectivity on the go, like that's possibly what we see in the better PlayStation Portal that I think is coming. I've got it on pretty good authority that there's a better version of the Portal coming. I could see that one having an OLED screen. I could see them adding some type of like 5G capability or whatever, maybe, where like you could go to your cell phone provider or whatever and sign up for something. I don't know. I would imagine that a better Portal would be more focused on maybe an improved Wi-Fi, maybe an updated Wi-Fi, and then a better screen. And then maybe also a more robust operating system where you can like load in apps like Netflix and stuff. So it at a very like base level coming when, my current theory is that they're going to have a better version of the Portal next year. I think the PlayStation handheld comes out the year after. And then I think the year after that's the PlayStation 6. So next year's 2026, I think you get a better version of the Portal. I think in 2027, they deliver the handheld. I think late 2028 is when you see the PlayStation 6. I think GTA 6 is going to play a significant role here. I don't think when GTA 6 finally lands and you're motivating, 40 to 50 million people to finally get off the PS4, when that finally starts happening, I don't think you start marketing a PlayStation 6. That just doesn't make any sense to me. And Lin Tao, CFO of PlayStation, literally said on an earnings call that she views these generations and support lasting longer. Like they're about halfway through PS5 right now. So I think you're going to be a whole lot closer to 2030 before the PlayStation 6 comes out. I think the 2027 timeline that Moore's Law is Dead has, I wouldn't be surprised if that's either outdated or like it was a hypothetical or it was an ideal, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they shuffle that back in relation to GTA 6. What I loved about the State of Play Japan is that those games are Japanese AF, which is something we haven't seen Sony market for a while, reminding me of the PlayStation 2 ads in Japan for Ape Escape. That was something that I think people didn't really understand. Like, my State of Play Japan reaction was a bit mixed, because it's like a lot of those games are simply not for me. But I always celebrate that, because that means there are entire regions, cultures, cities, countries that are going to be like, oh, that looks really cool. And I think that's very important. Like, I think a lot of American content creators especially need a bit of a wake-up call that, their geocentrism is showing a little bit. Like, you think like everything revolves around America when PS5 saturation, like 27% or something of the PS5s that have been sold have sold in America. So we're roughly like a third of their new gen user base, which would mean trying to grow in Asia is incredibly important to them. I think they also have a very good footprint in Europe. So but trying to grow in Asia, I think, is going to be pivotal for their future. Just recently, they finally started marketing and pushing into China with PS5, PS5 Pro, and Astrobot. And I don't think this is an accident that they added cloud to the Portal, and they did their very, very first ever State of Play Japan. Lin Tao got promoted. She's CFO of Sony now, which is usually prep for president of Sony role. Totoki had the same path. Great. Good for her. Good for her. I saw that Seeds put out PS6 would be 2029 unless leadership wants it 2028. He's had a couple misses. He's pretty accurate on most things. I think accuracy on claims like that are like 50-50 these days, which I think is fine. Like, everybody's making predictions and calls, and everybody has different sources of information. Given what Moore's Law is Dead has said, and given what Lin Tao has said, I feel like 2029's late, and citing that PlayStation leadership, and that unless they push it back or whatever, that doesn't seem to line up with anything that we've seen. Like Tom's information, like Moore's Law is Dead, his information was that they were targeting 2027 and that they wanted to keep pricing down, okay? I think there are market realities that's going to push that back to 2028, right? So production for it's mid-2027. If production starts for the PlayStation 6 in the middle of 2027, I don't think your target would be releasing in 2029. That feels really, really far. It makes more sense to me that if production starts mid-2027, I think they wanted to probably start late 2027, but I'm telling you, I think GTA 6 is pushing stuff back. I think 2028 is your year for the PlayStation 6. I've been saying that for a while. When people were saying 2027, I was like, that sounds too early to me. I said, I feel like they're going to extend this time around instead of a 7-year difference, right? Because the PS4 was 2013, and then 7 years later was 2020. I said, instead of a 7-year window, I said, I think it's going to be an 8-year window this time. And Lin Tao just talked about how the gens are lasting longer, support's lasting longer, And then 2024, they said on an earnings call they were halfway through this gen, and then she just said we're about halfway through this gen. 2027 just sounds way too early. Yeah, and then Mark Cerny said, oh, this tech's going to show up on console in the next few years. That's 2 years from now. I don't think you would say a few years for 2. I think you would say a few years for 3. I think 2028 is our year. 2029 feels too late. 2027 feels too early. And again, I'm just basing this off of what has been said, what data we have, and then what kind of an impact that I think GTA 6 is going to have. The Magnus is going to dog walk that thing. I mean, I think there were a lot of people that made very, very bold statements about how, like, the Series X and the Series S were going to run circles around the PS5. So I wouldn't get too ahead of yourself. I think from the info that we've seen, yes, the Magnus will be stronger, but I don't think it's going to dog walk anything because it's going to be $1,200 to $1,500, and it's going to be targeting a very, very narrow subset of the gaming audience. Like, I don't think that the Magnus and the PlayStation 6 are even in contention with each other. It would be like saying, this $1,500, PC at Best Buy, dog walks the PS5. Well, okay, it's stronger and does better, but that doesn't mean it's going to sell better. That doesn't mean it's going to have a stronger presence. I think the target demographic for the Magnus is going to be a lot more narrow than previous Xbox generations. I don't think they're focusing on a broad market adoption rate. I think they're focusing on a cascade of access points. I think Microsoft wants to have like mobile, tablet, smartphone, handheld, and then this is essentially a PC hybrid. I think they want a cascade of access points. I don't think Microsoft is attempting to dog walk anything that PlayStation does. As Reggie said, former Nintendo guy, Reggie says that, like, Xbox needs PlayStation. Like, I don't think they're going to attempt to dog walk PlayStation's hardware. Like, that's not the purpose of their hardware. The goal that they have for that thing is not to be like, we need to go out there and be better than PlayStation. They have made it crystal clear that's not their goal. Right? If Xbox is telling you that's not their goal, they're telling the shareholders that's not their goal, they're telling the people that are investing and buying, and they're at Wells Fargo summits, they're telling people that's not the goal, then that's not the goal. Like, seems like way more of a difference in power compared to Series X PS5. But you could do that right now. You could create a giant chasm of power difference by buying a PC. You could. I've got one next to me. I've got one over there that are stronger than my Pro by a large margin. I got a 5070 Ti sitting over there. Power's not really the question. You can do that right now. If that's what you value, if you want to have the tip of the wave, the tip of the spear, you want to have the absolute best, you can do that right now and put it in your living room. It's not as convenient because you got like mouse and keyboard and you got to interact with Windows. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that. But like a $1,200 to $1,500 PC combo is going to be more performant than the PS6, more than likely. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be compelling to people who look at the price point differences. A certain someone said they would never get beat in power again. Someone said they would never get beat in power again. If you're trying to refer to me, I think I said they were abandoning the power narrative, and they did. This generation, they completely abandoned the power narrative. They, instead of saying this is the most powerful console, and instead of showcasing games on the Series X and showing off the power of the Series X, they completely abandoned the power narrative. I got news for you. They're not going to recapture the power narrative. They're not going to come out and say, oh, this is the most powerful fill in the blank. No. Dollars to donuts, they're going to market the Magnus as the Xbox PC for your living room. I think they're going to market it as quote unquote more than a console. That's what I've always said. I've always said, listen, more than a console is going to be their big push. It's not just a console. It's not just a PC. It's both. Like, I could literally see like going into Best Buy and like you have all the PCs and then you have this big huge section with green lights and a big TV and the Xbox PC plugged into it to really drive home the notion they're not selling you power. They're selling you convenience. They're selling you like the everything box. Exactly, Frayed Voyager. I don't think Project Magnus, from Xbox's perspective, I don't think they're going to be like, oh yeah, we got to win on power. You were talking about Phil's comments? I think, well, I'm confused then. Wouldn't you think then that what I'm saying is true and accurate? That Xbox is not prioritizing power? If Phil himself said, like, that's not our concern, that's not our goal. I think you're kind of adding to what I'm saying, maybe unintentionally. I do not think Microsoft's goal with Magnus is we're going to go out there and win the power fight. No. They're going to offer you one more access point to their ecosystem. The Xbox PC, it's a PC for your living room. I could see these types of marketing statements coming out from them. It's more than a console. It's more than a PC. It is the Xbox PC. I want credit for that, by the way, Xbox, if you use that. I need a royalty cut off of that. It's more than a console. It's more than a PC. It is the Xbox PC. The power of a PC with the convenience of an Xbox in your living room. You know what I'm saying? Like, cut me a check. Use that. That's beautiful. That'll work. You'll get people to buy it with that. But that's not power narrative. That's not like we're more powerful or we're the most powerful. It's not about like being better or more performant than whatever else is out there. I just don't think that that's what they're selling this time around. I still want more power, and if I get that console overlay, I think it has a chance to be dope. I don't disagree with you at all, Nate. I don't disagree with you at all. I said when we first started this conversation that I think the Magnus isn't going to dog walk the PlayStation 6. It's going to appeal to a very narrow subset of the gaming audience. I don't think it's appealing to a broad audience. The PlayStation 6 will be targeting a much broader audience at a price point currently speculated at $600. This thing that from Magnus, from Xbox, is going to be like $1,200 or $1,500. You're not appealing to mass market when you do that. You're not. You're appealing to a smaller portion of the market. Pimtastical with 43 months of Member Plus. We get your first name and your name was too funny. Huh? And you retracted it. I don't know what that was. Let me add it to the total. I'm not sure what was going on there. It'll have a similar SoC to the PlayStation 6. It's going to be the software that makes the main difference. Here's what you have to consider. Raw power also doesn't matter as much as what developers do with the hardware itself. Like optimization and game design, like Digital Foundry has been very consistent this gen in their sort of surprise by how well PS5 has done. Like when they break down a game, a first-party game, they've been consistently impressed. They were sort of downplaying the PS5 before it came out. And they've been like, wow, they've really shown up this gen with performance. And prior to these devices coming out, on paper, everybody was talking raw power, raw power, raw power. Series X was going to be king. PlayStation 5 was going to get left in the dust. I mean, have you seen the receipt polls on what people were saying? And the literal opposite came true. It's night and day. It is the exact opposite of what people predicted. The PS5 has been significantly better and more performant and shown off way more by the first party delivery than anything Xbox has done. But prior to the consoles coming out, the talk of the town was raw power, that's better. I feel like we're in the same scenario. People are going to bang on that drum of raw power and the Magnus this and the Magnus that, and it's like, are companies going to be making games just for the Magnus? I don't think so. It's going to be running Windows. You're going to be running PC games on it, which is fine, but PC games don't have a great track record right now of landing optimized this gen. I mean, it has been frustrating for the PC user base. So, sure, you can scream about raw power all you want. We'll wait for the tech breakdowns because essentially you're going to be putting a PC in your living room. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's been a lot of multi-plat games that have come out the last 5 years that have had really bad scores on PC because they've not been well optimized for PC. So just be warned, raw power doesn't mean much if the games aren't optimized for your platform. JC says, laugh all you want, I'm being serious. What'd you say, JC? I honestly think the PS6 will have better performance and graphics than the Xbox PC hybrid. I don't know if it'll have better graphics, but it could probably have more consistent performance, especially from first party. I mean, I don't think that's in doubt. That's very common. First party nails it, and then PC versions of games have been having a hard time. You don't buy a PC to play console games. You buy a console. 8-Bit Dad, thank you for 32 months. And a 10 bomb comes in from Siriu to get the line going again. We're working on Stretch, a Arc Raiders community game night on Saturday where you guys can play Arc Raiders with my wife and I. We're going to play for you Friday night, and now we're working on the second. You guys have gone so crazy this week. It's greatly appreciated because I will be gone the week of Thanksgiving, and that's an entire week of like no streams, no nothing, and that's always a little rough. And you guys going crazy this week and next week is just going to be very helpful. So that's why I'm willing to do all these extra streams for y'all. It's the same architecture, says Rope. Not sure what you mean. The console wars essentially push their customers more in the direction of PCs. Where do you see evidence that like PlayStation and Nintendo are pushing their customers to PC? What do you mean? Like, where do you see evidence of that? I mean, I see Xbox users going to PC. They're saying it. I don't see PlayStation users and Nintendo users going to PC. They seem pretty happy, and the companies are celebrating great sales results for their consoles. Both companies are celebrating great sales for their first-party games as well. You think the Magnus will sell 8 million? First year or lifetime? I think if the Magnus hits between 10 and 20 million lifetime, they will be thrilled. They will be thrilled. Like, this gen's in like the 30 million range. I can't see this thing being higher than that. I think if they land in the 10 million ballpark, they'll be thrilled. Sony consistently has better graphics and better built hardware over Microsoft since the PS3. The constant narrative push that PlayStation and Nintendo are doing what Xbox is blows my mind. Yeah, I can't imagine watching a State of Play Japan and watching Nintendo's dominance and thinking that, like, yeah, these companies are going to do what Xbox is doing. Eugene says, Xbox users are going to PlayStation. I see multiple posts every day. I think a lot of the people... Oh, you think lifetime? The Magnus sells 8 million? I think that's a decent prediction. Yeah, lifetime. I don't think the Magnus is going to, like, top the sales charts. I think 8 million is a very, very conservative and good prediction. That's why I said if they touch 10 million lifetime, I think they'll be freaking thrilled. Because at the price point, like... $1,200 to $1,500, you're just not going to have broad market appeal. It's very expensive. Like, it's basically a PC when you go to when you go to Best Buy. 8 million's too high. No, I don't think it's too high because we're talking lifetime. So I just want you to think about something. Every single person that has ever purchased anything from Xbox is a potential customer of the Magnus. The Magnus is touting, from what we're hearing, true, genuine, far-reaching backwards compatibility. There are a lot of people that will be like, you know what? I'm either going to wait for a sale or I'm going to save my pennies. I'm going to get that thing. I don't think 8 million is that ambitious, given the number of people who have Xbox libraries that they may want to buy this thing for. Like Steam in your living room, PC in your living room, and Xbox back compat. There's a lot of customers that might say, hey, give me that. Incredible Black with 39 months and a member plus puts us a 5 bomb away from the next milestone. Destiny Renegades needs to pop or the little community they have will crumble. This happens when you lose the plot and not loving the game that you create. Thank you, Incredible Black. Whoever drops the 5 bomb gets the gifted member. It's a perfect time to snipe it. It's currently 38-2. Twitch, this is your day. It's not a selling point anymore. I don't think it's a massive selling point at all. I didn't say it was a massive selling point. I said the user base that might find that to be exciting, that's a massive user base. Anybody who has owned Xbox One, 360, the original Xbox, this gen, That's a big group of people, boys. 8 million out of that group. Not even out of that group. Just anybody who's considered putting a PC in their living room. All right. Anybody who has a Steam library. And Matt steals it for YouTube with the 5-bomb. Thank you so much, Matt. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it's that insane to think that they could sell around 8 million copies of this device, because there are so many people that at some point had an Xbox. There are so many people right now who have a Steam library who are like, yeah, I'll buy a box for my living room. There are so many people on PlayStation and Nintendo who'd be like, you know what? There are some Steam games I wouldn't mind having in my living room. Ratchet and Clank Ranger Rumble announced. A fast-paced multiplayer for mobile has been announced. Oh boy. Ranger Rumble. I wonder what regions this will be available in. Because this looks like... It actually looks surprisingly good, even though I don't play games like this. Like, this kind of looks like... I wonder what engine that is. I wonder if it's their in-house engine. I wonder who made it. I wonder if they made it. Yeah. This could do something in the mobile market. I don't think it's going to be like I don't think it'll go insane, but this could do something in the mobile market. Looks well optimized too. Unity engine maybe. I'm just curious what regions, where will they push this the hardest? Like, if they push this in, China. Insomniac Games and OBB, it looks like, whoever that is, PlayStation Studio. So Insomniac Games is clearly a part of this. You can go to rangerrumble.com. Yeah, I'm really curious where they're going to push the hardest with that regionally. Because that could be huge on mobile for them. The lot of us probably would never touch a game like that. But the mobile audience is just so stupidly large. The cost to make that, the production, the marketing, and the return they could potentially get on it. I mean, I get why they're doing it. I'm not going to play it. I wonder if, after what they saw happen to Square Enix's game... Foam Stars on console, if they're like, hey, those kind of games have a better shot on mobile, maybe. Because there's just a bigger audience, Your potential conversion rate is probably better on mobile for games like that. I don't gift a lot, says Matt, but I'm in a mood today. Well, I appreciate that, Matt. That's very, very kind of you. If you guys got a gifted member, be sure to say thank you. I do owe you guys a member. Let me go ahead and do that right now. I got interrupted by that Ratchet and Clank trailer. I actually owe you guys 2 members on YouTube because there was the 20 bomb this morning from Polarin that rolled us over to 501. And now we're at 525. Next 25, every 25 I gift one back to the community. So there you go. Fillmore got a gifted member from me. Enjoy that. And DMG75 got a membership from me. Enjoy that. The last Ratchet mobile game didn't do well. Maybe this one will. That's why I'm questioning where they're going to push it regionally. Like, I don't know the life expectancy of a game like that, like in America or Europe. But, like, if they push that game hard in China, they could make a really good amount of money. You got to remember, I don't think any of these things are coincidences. I really, really don't. Think about what's transpired in the last 2 weeks. They add cloud to Portal. They start marketing PS5 Pro and Astro Bot with specific events in China. They do a State of Play Japan, and they launch a mobile like arena Ratchet game. I don't think these things are all like accidental. I think this is all a push into markets that they're currently looking to meet new people. And if you get, Chinese mobile users to play a Ratchet game, then they're now aware of your IP. An IP that's going to start to probably get seen and marketed inside of China for the PS5. Because think about it. There's little Ratchet characters and discoverables in Astro Bot, and then Ratchet's a launch title for the PS5. And then you've got this Fortnite bundle that they just announced, the PS5 console Fortnite bundle, potential Black Friday sales coming up. That's why I'm telling you, like, it doesn't look like it if you are like an American fan, but PlayStation, I think, is being very aggressive right now. It's also a really good game. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is also a phenomenally fun game and very, very high quality game. Okay. Where did that come from? Why not in a State of Play? That's a really good question, Jesse. Like, it feels like last night would have been a great time to announce that. I don't know. That's why my first question was, I wonder what regions it'll be available in. Like, where are they going to push it regionally? I feel like China controls their mobile games quite a bit, so I don't know. Maybe it'll have to be a staggered release or something. I feel like we read a report on that. Like, if you want to launch a mobile game in China, I think it's difficult. Not just Rift Apart, Ratchet games have been great for a long time. Let's pull up a question here from Perfect Image. Since the Portal is doing well, what new feature could you see on the Portal before the PlayStation 6 handheld? I mean, like we said a little bit ago, you could see, an OLED screen, and then you could also potentially see them adding the media apps, Netflix and stuff like that. You could get to the point where you're able to, play and stream those apps on the device. Like, I've been wanting a tablet, to motivate myself to kind of get back on the stationary, because if I've got like shows to watch, it helps me, right? And currently I don't have like a way to do that. Like the one time I tried it with my phone, it wasn't enjoyable. Like, the phone was too small and it kept falling, and there was a glare, and it was like, this is not working. I keep having to pick the phone back up. I mean, if you could turn the Portal into like a de facto tablet where, you can run movies on it, that'd be pretty nice as well. I wonder also if they would give you, a Portal with potential some kind of local storage, an OLED, run the media apps, and like a decent amount of local storage, because then you could like get an app like Netflix or Amazon or something, and they let you download movies and shows like before you get on a flight or something. Now, I don't think it would have like native installation of games, but they could give you like a decent amount of local storage, so you could house like a couple of movies. So when you're about to get on a flight, you use the Wi-Fi, you download the show or the movie, and then there you go. You've got something to entertain yourself on the flight without the need for Wi-Fi. That's always been a nice feature on like Netflix. I don't know. Just some potential things that they could decide are worth doing. Feed on Land says, if the GTA 6 PC port is going to be only 6 months release wait, do you think some folks will just wait out the 6 months? If it's only a 6 month wait, me personally, I would wait. I'm not double dip in my opinion. They're not going to tell you this, my friend. I mean, I'll just flat out say it. The last thing that Rockstar is going to do is let you know that that's happening. I'm just speculating based off of Strauss-Zelnick's commentary that GTA 6 will come to PC faster than it has in the past. But they're not going to tell you. No. They're going to want those first 4 to 5 months. They're going to want to make as many sales as they can on console. They're going to want you to succumb to FOMO. Fear of missing out. You're going to feel like you're missing out on the biggest game of the generation, the biggest game of the decade, whatever the heck you want to call it. you know, they're gonna want that to be felt. And they're not going to want to sabotage that by being like, well, it's coming to PC in 6 months. Well, then people on PC are going to do exactly what you just said. They're going to wait 4 or 5 months of being like, oh my gosh, that game looks so good. Like, that'll be potent. It'll make people bite. And then, you know, a month before it comes to PC, they'll be like, we're excited to announce that GTA 6 is coming to PC next month or something like that. They're not going to need a long marketing window for their PC release. They're going to release online before PC. I think GTA Online's like a 90-day window. I think they launched GTA 6. I think like 90 days later they launched the online. And then again, I think at the 6-month mark, I think it lands on PC. I don't know. It's just the vibe I get from him when he spoke about it. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a year. But the way he spoke about it's like, yeah, they want GTA 6 on PC a lot faster than how long you had to wait in the past. It's going to take at least a year, and that would still be a lot faster. 6 months is too soon. I mean, maybe I'm being more aggressive with my prediction, but it's just the vibe that it's just a vibe that I got from him and how he spoke about it. That was what I thought. And I could be wrong. I'm looking at an interview, I'm listening to comments, and I'm saying, yeah, this is what I think they're going to do. You know? Not concrete. Just a prediction. Zero Connection says, off topic, but when we know the nominees for Game of the Year 2025, I believe it'll be next week. Early to mid next week, I think, is when we find out. The deadline is like end of next week, and they usually announce the nominees like a day or two before that, which is a little awkward, but that's when I think we're going to hear about it. Why do people act like PC gamers are broke? If they want to, they can buy a console too. I don't think anybody is saying that they're broke. Nobody intimated or suggested that PC gamers are broke. The intimation was, if you can wait 6 months, you'll wait 6 months. If you're like, oh, I could play it on my platform of preference in the library that I prefer to build, as opposed to buying a console, that doesn't have anything to do with being broke. There's also people who own both. They have the console and the PC, and if they know they can wait 6 months for GTA 6 to come to PC, they would just wait. They have a backlog a mile long. Every time there's a Steam sale, they succumb to temptation. And yes, I'm talking about you, Zubair. Every time there's a Steam sale, they fill their backlog with more games. So, like, there's plenty of PC users that it has nothing to do with being broke. They're like, I'm just going to wait. I've got a backlog. I prefer games on my PC. I've got a nice PC setup. I got a nice chair. I got a nice desk. I got a nice monitor. And it'll add to my library over here. Again, I don't think you would want people to know that it's coming to PC 6 months later. Creature says, if you look at the Steam reports, the bulk of PC gamers are running old, cheap crap. I'm not complaining. It's true. I have a problem. I see 80% off, I buy. Yeah. Yes. It's the age-old practice of I'm saving money. Sure, by spending. That's the most unique way to save money. You know, it's the best American pastime. Saving money by spending it. The point is, and again, what Creature's saying is true. I think some people forget that, like, the vast majority of people who are playing games on PC don't have, you know, insanely strong insanely strong PCs, you know. The more you spend, the more you save. Yeah, you got to spend money to make money. Yeah. I mean, I think the math works here. I'm not a mathematician, but I think the more games you buy on sale, eventually you're netting profit and making money. So, like, at 80% off on game sales and stuff, I think if you buy enough volume, you end up making money. I'm not an expert, but I think that that's true. I maxed out my credit card. Frickin' Lono said I'd start making money. It was like that thing that went viral where people were getting they thought they were getting free money by overdrafting their accounts. Oh my gosh. Well, you see, the value of the library is very high relative to what I paid for it. You can look up the value of your Steam account, and Drop Fames did their in 2 of theirs were $36,000. It's insane. You can package and resell your loneliness if you buy enough Steam games. That's right. GTA 6 won't come to PC until the summer of 2026. Yeah, I think it's about a 6 to 8 months later. Yeah. I'm just going to say less than a year. Less than a year. The free money glitch trend made me fearful of the generation being in charge. Yeah, they thought it was free money. They thought they were playing a dadgum. They thought they were playing a dadgum video game where, like, hey, we found an exploit for free money. There'll be no consequences whatsoever. That's like they thought it was like an exploit in a video game. What meathead thought they were getting free money overdrafting their bank account? Yeah, it was absurd. Free money glitch. It was a thing. It was literally a thing that happened. There were people literally doing it. They thought it was free money. Is that real? Yes. Look, hang on. Free money glitch trend. In September, a TikTok trend emerged where users attempted to exploit a supposed glitch and chase ATMs to get unlimited free money. The free money glitch trend on social media is a misleading term for check fraud, a serious crime that led to legal action against participants, okay? They would write a large check to themselves, basically a fake or bad check, and then they would deposit the check, right? I'm sorry, I had it backwards. They weren't overdrafting their accounts. They were writing a bad check to themselves. They would then immediately withdraw. This was real. People were doing this. They would then immediately withdraw a substantial amount of cash before the bank system could detect that the check was fraudulent. It's a crime. It was like, it would literally be like making a video that's like, hey boys, I got a money glitch that's going to change your life. What you do is you take a gun and you stick up the bank. Like, it was like, you're basically telling people to commit a crime and being like, it's a free money glitch, baby. Like, no, that's check fraud and you will get in big trouble. It's not as bad as like holding up a joint with a weapon, but it's adjacent. You're going to get in trouble. I saw so many videos where people are like, don't do this. Like, you will get in serious trouble. Holy mackerel. They were shocked when they got arrested. Yeah. Yeah, this ain't GTA. You didn't find some exploit in the Matrix to get unlimited money. Oh my gosh. It happened. It was a thing. You got kids eating Tide Pods and adults committing check fraud. Lord help us. You know? Jiminy Christmas. Weird AI TikTok lady voice. Watch me commit check fraud. Just a quick look, and I'm already at 18% of the users with rigs stronger than a 3060, and 18% of how many million users? Like, everyone's still on a 1070? Well, I think it's like 18% of the people that submit to the hardware scan, right? We need a free money strap. Yeah. mean, the best way to get money is to get it, you know? It's like that proverb, right? Hang on. What it's so funny. Oh, I can't remember what it is. It's phrased so funny. Is it the whole of 4? No. Wisdom is the principal things. Now the it's proverb. It's so funny. Proverbs, the beginning, get wisdom. It's like the beginning of wisdom is to get wisdom. It's like something like that. It's like phrased so funnily. Yeah, this is it. I found it. All right. Here we go. This is it, boys. You ready? I'm gonna drop. This is not a Bible study, but I'm gonna drop some biblical wisdom on you. I hope you all are ready. Hang on a second. I can't freaking get it. I think I've got it here. I just need to change the version. All right. You guys just need to tattoo this on your foreheads, your arms, and put it on your mirror. All right. Proverbs 4:7. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, and whatever you get insight. There it is. Do not say I never dropped truth bombs on you, okay? The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. So, you guys can make checks payable to Reforge Media for this motivational speech. It's going to change your life. So the beginning of getting money, get money. You know what I'm saying? Get money. That's it. So, I expect to be paid handsomely for this wisdom that I'm dropping on you. Can I be real, son? Be real. Be real. Another common fraud technique being used right now is going to the ATM, withdrawing money, and then filing a claim and saying the ATM didn't disperse the funds. Oh, yeah, you can't do that. They're going to know. They're going to know you're lying. Such inspiring, much advice. This is correct. Yeah. Shower me with 50 bombs. That should be the result of that. Jack Garland says, was that Red Dead Redemption 2 actress you met taller than you? She's actually real. If my memory is that she's tall. I don't know if her height is recorded on her profile. Usually it is. Like if you look up someone like that. No, I'm not seeing her height. I'm 5 years older than her, though. Young whippersnapper. Bro, you're on camera. What do you mean? These people are brain dead? Huh? We're seeing that a ton at my job right now, and they're getting away with it. Oh, really? They have cameras, everything? That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised people think they're going to get away with that. I mean, you're on dadgum camera. I don't know. Okay. We've got some more questions to comb through here, guys. If you submit questions to the question command, appreciate it very, very much. We got Mediocre Milton saying, do you trust Bungie on live service, though, considering from an outsider's perspective, last several years of D2 updates have been mostly underwhelming? Well, you have to ask questions about that. You can't just be like, they've lost it. They don't know what they're doing. Why has it been underwhelming? What's the problem? What's the causality? They took bandwidth away from the game. They tried to spin up incubation projects. Fatigue, franchise fatigue. Like they also ended the saga. Insider Gaming says that Where Winds Meet is a glorious free-to-play RPG packed with content. Is the embargo, are people dropping reviews on that? The biggest obstacle I faced in the game was deciding where I wanted to focus my energy. I'm a completionist. I wanted to cover all the secrets the game has to offer, but I may have met my match in where wins meet, as 100% completion seems impossible. I constantly found myself distracted by something, whether it was a puzzle to solve, a bear to fight, or and couldn't say no to the optional quests that appeared. Whenever I told myself it was time to log off, I encountered something else I wanted to do, and the process repeated all over again. So can you play this game with other people? It's a free-to-play title. There are plenty of microtransactions available to those who want to splash out. But from what I could see, the options were merely cosmetic, providing no in-game benefit, or time savers that provide a chunk of currency to spend on items, enhancements, and similar. With hundreds of hours of content, a sprawling open world to explore, and plenty of things to do single-player and multiplayer, both cooperatively and in PvP, Where Winds Meet could have released as a full-price game. They're giving a 4 out of 5 grade on the verdict. The fact that you can enjoy it without spending a dime is staggering. Rogue Prince of Persia's coming to the Switch and the Switch 2. I mean, that's a match made in heaven. That's a fun little game if you like side-scroller rogues. Yes, it has co-op. Well, Where Winds Meet could get featured on the channel as a game with Madam. We're going to be doing Arc Raiders this week, though. But yeah, back to your question, Mediocre Milton. It's like, to me, it's like you got to ask the question, like, why is Destiny 2 where it is now? Well, why? I don't think it's because, like, suddenly Bungie doesn't know what the heck they're doing. I think it's because of all these other things. And I think that, I think, again, that doesn't mean that they can't figure it out again. Like, I want you to imagine Bungie building a Destiny 3, and they're building a Destiny 3 with all their history of knowledge, all their institutional experience, all their data, all their systems, all their departments, and they take 5 years, and that's all they work on is a Destiny 3. It could literally be one of the most successful games they've ever built. It could. It could be one of the most successful games they've ever built. I mean, without question. So, and again, the bigger question is, what do you do with a studio that size? That's the question PlayStation has to ask. If as an asset, Bungie has depreciated in value, what do you do with them? You shut them down? Do you pull them off D2 and have them make D3? What do you do? You know Marathon's not going to do anything. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. A Chinese outlet did a review of Where Winds Meet. What do we have here? Jack of all trades in the martial arts world, dabbling in swords, spear, and staffs, never truly mastering any of them. The game's strengths are often undermined by its weaker elements, leaving it as a competent and unremarkable martial artist. There's no denying its skill, but that makes its shortcomings all the more disappointing. Just curious, how would you take Destiny 3's story? I don't know. Time travel would be a good option. Another universe would be a good option. IGN gave it a 6. 4 months from I'm the Lag over here on Purple, making it a little bit interesting, bumping the member goal line as we work our way to 750 for a community game night. You can join my wife and I in Arc Raiders. We're going to play Friday night, but then we can also play Saturday night if you guys hit it. People seem to enjoy us playing that. Where are these things landing here? Where Winds Meet review. Vast, visionary, and on the verge of collapse. A free-to-play epic unlike anything we've ever encountered before. So Push Square seemed to like it. We're cautious that there's too much wrong here to be fixed by the 14th of November. Okay, so they're saying there's a lot of problems. We didn't get to test out online multiplayer largely because We concentrated our efforts on single-player quests. But From Software's influence looms as you will occasionally encounter notes from other players. The cutscenes, while unlikely to ever win any cinematography awards, are remarkable and frequent enough for a free-to-play effort, although the English voice acting leaves a lot to be desired. We recommend playing in Chinese. The quests do a great job showing the mundanity of 10th century Chinese life and the mixing of that with the spectacle of wuxia action movie. Randall with 25 months. Hey, man, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for 25 months. If you guys want your membership to count in the total, it's got to be a Member Plus, because I can't tell if that's a gifted member. If you want to bump up, it's $1 more. If that is a gifted, I'm glad you're here and glad somebody got you a gifted. If you are paying for that, though, YouTube doesn't give me the ability to see that. They can get that vision of D3 out the door like you think. Oh, they can't. At least not in the current market economy with how the player retention metric has been fatigued. D3 needs a new car smell, not the same old busted, but with new air freshener. I think the problem that Bungie has put too much work in their years being not just developer but a brand. You can't just make that go away. 5 years of silence really helps. Let's see if anybody else is reviewing it. XDA says they can't believe the RPG is free to play. Where wins meet Metacritic. Are they getting a Metacritic yet? Like, is it tabulating? No. There's just one PC review. It's weird that the reviews are hitting, but like Metacritic's not getting hit by anything. Yeah, an hour ago. The embargo dropped an hour ago. "5 Years of Silence" is a good band name. It's not bad. I'm going to be honest, there's zero benefit to a review of a free-to-play game. There's no cost to try it out for yourself. You literally gain nothing from a review. You couldn't just find out yourself. What you're saying is absurd, Corey. Come on. Like, if somebody has played the game for 20 hours and can tell me about the beginning, middle, end game, the grinds, the loops, you know, how the content feels, how the combat feels, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I benefit from that. Oh, you played a free-to-play RPG for 25 hours? Lay it on me. How's it work? I can't know those things without playing for 25 hours. There is no way for me to know that the open world clearing of Borderlands, for example, is annoying and nuisance riddled. I couldn't know that until I got to the 40th or 50th hour of playing. The first 20 to 30 was great. I was in the opening areas. So what? I benefit greatly from the review of a free-to-play game if somebody's put in 30, 40, 50 hours. Now, I know, Corey, you're of the opinion you like to make up your own mind. I mean, you frickin' bought Mind's Eye because you just can't imagine letting reviews dissuade you, which I think is just an entirely unique perspective on gaming. That if everybody says it's trash and it has a garbage score, you're like, well, I'm going to see for myself. I mean, listen, if somebody's making a pie out of dog crap, I can smell it from the other room. I don't got to taste it to know that it's not going to be good. Like, I don't know. I think when reviews trend in a certain way, you can certainly be like, I don't need to waste my time on this crap. Like, if somebody's put 25 or 30 hours into a game, that benefits me. I can be like, okay, is the grind annoying? Is the combat repetitive and redundant? Like, if somebody put in 30 hours into The First Descendant, there's a really great channel that I've recommended to you guys before. He makes fantastic content. The name of his channel is Assad Anjum. All right. If you've not subscribed to him, I think that you should. Okay. Assad Anjum. He makes great content. His Lazy Sequels video was excellent. I don't know why the red bar is there. I've watched the entire thing. Maybe I rewatched it or something. Games that transcend their genre. I just watched the most soulless game I've ever played, okay? And he spent like a week His best video is this one here. AAA games need to take more risks, because he glazes, he just absolutely heaps praise on Returnal. It's deserving. He's excellent creator. His game about First Ascendant. If somebody plays First Ascendant for 30 to 40 hours and tells you the experience that he had, he played it exclusively like for a week. Anytime he had time to play a game, he was playing the First Ascendant. Okay, well, he can tell you whether or not that game is worth a darn from his perspective, and what the loop feels like, and what the content feels like, what the combat feels like. Now, you might still enjoy it. His conclusion's not deterministic, but it can certainly warn you. Like, yeah, 10 hours in, there's this massive skill jump, and it's really frustrating, and they gear check you, and the only way to really overcome these challenges is to rerun all the early content for low drop rates on good gear, or you can spend money. That would be very helpful to know. If 10 hours in, they gear check you, and you either got to grind your dadgum face off in low drop rate content or spend money, that's valuable information. You're like, well, it's free to play. I can't benefit from this review. Oh, you bet you can, because they can save you a bunch of trouble. They can be like, man, skip this game. 15 hours in, 20 hours in, they gear check you. You can't beat the new content, and you got to go grind or spend money. I'm not saying there's a game that's like that. I'm saying if the game did that, them telling you that is helpful information. There's just there's an ego and an arrogance to this idea that, like, I don't read reviews, I'm going to make up my own mind. I mean, you go right ahead. But if 25 reviews drop and they all say glitchy, buggy, bad, content gets grindy, and they're trying to get you to spend money, you're like, oh, I'm going to see for myself. It's like, what the frick, man? If 25 people are saying that, you could probably take that to the bank and cash it. Not a free money glitch, but you can take that to the bank and cash it. If that many people are saying, these are some significant problems within the game's design. You don't need to see for yourself. Like, I don't get that mentality. If I had 20 different people tell me that this game gets really grindy and really frustrating, and it seems like they're trying to get you to spend money, I'm going to avoid that game. I'm going to be like, yep, that sounds like a game that I call the art of the squeeze. They get you to do sunk cost, and then they squeeze you. And they're like, yeah, well, it'd be unfortunate if all of a sudden the XP earn rates and the grind got abysmal and you were motivated to spend money. I mean, you've already put 20 hours in, so why not spend $5? Like, if somebody goes the distance for me and figures that out in a free-to-play game, that benefits me greatly. I'm going to avoid that game. It's not deterministic. It's not like they determine what I enjoy, but that's a really great way to get caution signs thrown up, especially on a free-to-play game, because free-to-play games can turn sour really quickly because they got to make money somehow. And they can do it in ways that can be frustrating and cannibalistic to the gameplay loop and the fun factor. As I've gotten older, the value of my time has gone up. Free-to-play makes no difference, as it still doesn't circumvent the cost of my time. That's exactly right. We got into that debate about Arc Raiders when people were saying, there's no risk when you go in, free kit. And I was like, yes, there is risk. You're risking your time. You could run your special route and there's no loot left. You could get killed by Arc. You could get killed by players. Those are plenty of ways that you could lose. There's leaks of the Valve stuff. I'm not going to show that. I love Winamp. I love that Winamp is in the dadgum screenshot. Who is this guy? I love him. Who is this creator? Butters. I love him. He's got freaking Winamp. Is that Instant Messenger? Is that AIM? In the layout as well. He's running. Is that Windows XP? Yes. His chat looks like AIM. I love him. That's magnificent. There was a huge debate on Twitter yesterday about free kits, and all the people were complaining because they obviously were PvPers. Yeah. That's Tyler McVicker. He's the Steam guy. It's all custom made. I love it. I love everything about that vibe. That just takes me back to my Quake 2 days. Winamp, Windows XP, AOL Instant Messenger. What a frickin' time, boys. What a time to be a gamer. That was a special time back then. It really, really was. It kicks the llamas. That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the PvPers. I think it's PvPers who are going to the low-level environment. They're going down to the first couple of maps, and they're finding a high propensity. Excuse me, of free kits, and they're annoyed. And I get it, but you're playing the game in a narrow way. UI philosophy was completely different back then. You had to be there. Everything was like beveled and slightly 3D. Like the whole Windows XP, it just was such a vibe. It had like this bevel, like 3D. You could, and then Winamp had like that same vibe. Most of the PvPers are also screaming for the arcs to be nerfed. Let them scream into the void. I'm not going to do that. The arc is the primary threat. They said it in an interview. That's not changing. Have you ever tried to do a show with Luke Stevens? You guys have similar styles and explanations. I used to watch his content and recommend his stuff, and then he pulled up one of my podcasts and was incredibly unprofessional and insulted me and the people on my podcast. And insulted my content, called it low effort. So no. After he did that, no. It was really unprofessional. Anytime I've ever pulled up other people's content or recommended other people's content, I've always been very kind and charitable. And some people over the years have decided that, that's too difficult to be charitable back. It happened with another YouTuber a long time ago. It happened with another YouTuber. Like, I was like, oh, good for him. He's new to Xbox. And I said, the value that you're getting right now is inflated. You're not like me sitting here waiting for 4 years for Xbox to do something. And he proceeded to make toxic content about me and call me names. And I was like, okay, I recommended your content and said that you were funny, but that's how you're going to respond. Like, all right. Okay. Some people, I don't know. Some people have very, very weird views of how to talk about other creators. Unless it's Cross, you glaze that man. I don't glaze Cross. Astacross is just a man of integrity and character. It's rare these days. We've had this question already, Freddie. I do want to put it up here though for you. Freddie Jackson says, since the Portal will have cloud gaming, would you see Sony making a cellular version of the Portal? I have it on very good authority that a better version of the Portal is coming with OLED. Not with OLED. I'm speculating that it'll have OLED and maybe cellular. I don't know what it has. But I know it's going to be better. So. Ryan Johnson says he wants to see The Hunt for Ben Solo. Take my money. Oh, he wants to see it? I mean, he basically destroyed the potential of that character ever doing anything and being cool. But yeah, sure, go ahead. Let Ryan Johnson touch more Star Wars property. It went swimmingly last time. Is pushing the Portal up to 300 with those new features the right move? I think you'd need a price difference of some sort. I did not know that. It was really disappointing, Big Pack fan. It was really disappointing because I constantly recommended his content. Like, to constantly recommend someone and say, oh, this guy makes good stuff. This is good work. And he watched like 5 seconds of my content. What's really funny, too, is if you go back and watch the stream where he did that, like mocked us, made fun of us, everything we said was on point. It was about what the ABK deal was going to lead to. How I was arguing that, like, Xbox is throwing in the towel on the console war. And he was like, imagine being an adult and saying console war. And then, like, got on the mic and was like, they're spending $70 billion. Like, his argument was just to, like, talk loud into the microphone and be condescending. And it was like, my argument was pretty basic. Like, if you looked at the posture of Xbox and what they were doing, they were abandoning this fight. Well, let's add some time to the clock and arrive on, I don't know, today, who was correct. Like, everything I said was correct. Like, what Xbox was doing was abandoning the console fight, abandoning the console war, and turning into a publisher. They're going to primarily be a publisher in the gaming space. And it was a bullseye from 1,000 yards away. But it was made fun of, it was jeered, it was mocked, whatever. And then pulled my channel up and called it low effort. Like, it was just very weird. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It was like, seemed like a pretty thoughtful guy, seemed like you do things based on facts and evidence and research, and 2 seconds of my podcast and you're making fun of me and my guests, and then called my content low effort. I was like, all right, I don't know what the heck that was about, but you know, it was a really weird time. Like, if you said anything that was like critical of what Xbox was doing, or like talking about like things within the realm of console war, it just immediately got attacked by people. It was a very bizarre time. It was very strange. It was like, to me, it seemed obvious that like Microsoft was pivoting, Microsoft was changing. If you talked about that, man, oh man, it really raised people's hackles, and I never quite understood it. It was like, there's a shift happening here. So, I don't know. Impatra submitted this question. Did you see the Ratchet & Clank mobile? Yes. I think the thing I'm most curious about is what regions they're going to try to push that in, because it could be really helpful with their efforts in China. Cross deserves the glaze. He's a gem. Yeah, and I've reacted to some of Astrocross's content and have told him privately, like, I don't ever expect you to acknowledge me publicly. I don't ever expect you to do anything with me. I know what that would probably lead to. You know, the Destiny community has headcanon about me that's completely false, but they're never going to be convinced otherwise. And I would never expect him to do that to his brand or his content. Like, I understand that's a very one-sided public thing, and I never expect that it to be, like, acknowledged or mentioned. I've let him know that. It's like, you don't even have to acknowledge my existence, bro. Like, I don't expect that. Like, I know what the audience would do. I did the same thing when people were, like, telling me and like going on Twitter, like, you should be on Iron Lords, go on Iron Lords, and I DM'd the head guy, and I said, don't do that. You do not have me on. I don't expect you to have me on your show. The Destiny community would throw a freaking fit, because they're just so many of the people that hang out on Twitch and Twitter and follow Destiny. I mean, they are just mindlessly hateful toward me, even after all this time. It is. I'm a darker villain than the ones in the dadgum game they play. And it's like, I would never expect that, brother. Did he respond to you in any way? He's been very kind and charitable. Yes, he's never been like, he's never cold-shouldered me or any of that. So, there was even a time where I just asked him privately, like, hey, you sent this tweet, is this real? And he was like, no, I'm just memeing. So, always snacking. Thanks for 33 months. Welcome back. I appreciate it. I was in a chat recently, an Xbox, he said something dumb about Lono to try to get me upset because he thought I was a PS fanboy. Non-PS fans are always idiots. I mean, I don't really care if people are talking about me. I think that's just going to be natural. Like, if you're making content and you're in the public space, people are going to talk about you. That's just pretty much par for the course. He wouldn't be touching it. He said he wants to see it happen. Oh. Ryan Johnson says he would want to see it happen, the Ben Solo thing. Yeah, I mean, the Ben Solo thing could be amazing. People's ability to write someone off should never be underestimated. To be clear, Cross and I never did anything together. We were never like friends. We didn't have like a relationship that got shattered. There wasn't something there that like, why I lost or something. There was plenty of people that did that, but that wasn't him. D2 community wouldn't have it. What D2 community? The game is all but dead, and most people that crap on you during 2020 likely don't even play the game anymore. I don't know if you watch his streams, Nick, but homie's got a big following, and a lot of those folks are from that era of time. and they would not respond kindly. I said one thing once in his Twitch chat, and somebody immediately bit my head off and called me something terrible. And I was like, all right, I'm not bringing that energy here, and that was the end of it. Oh, PlayStation's got a blog about this Where Winds Meet thing. Let's check it out here. Crossover on the roundtable? No, I invited him, and he declined. And at the time, this came out in one of his videos. At the time, people were like basically warning him to stay away from me. There was an active private campaign for people to not work with me. I had a scheduled interview with the voice actress for Mara Sov, and she canceled because somebody got to her and told her not to do the show. So, yeah. It was obvious. She's like, yeah, I've been told I need to dial back on podcasts. And then she did like 3 more podcasts in that month. Like the month after, like scheduled new ones and stuff. Like it was like obvious. Like somebody got to her. I was like, yeah, don't do a podcast with that guy. It was a common theme back then. I was losing friends, losing connection, losing followers pretty much left and right. There was a private and very effective campaign. That's that community in a nutshell, man. They were always doing that. There were so many people that got blacklisted and privately maligned and attacked. Like, there was stuff that they said and did about so many creators that have no idea. And it's like, it was all very petty and very high school. A lot of insecure people with a lot of sway and power. Where Winds Meet hands-on report here from the PlayStation blog. Ambitious in size and scope, it's a free-to-play open-world adventure. It's nearly ready for its PS5 bow. And after spending a lot of time triple jumping up trees and facing down bandits in the beta, I explored why Everstone Studio spin on the 10th century China is already turning heads ahead of the November 14th drop. Incredibly detailed customization tools. After a polished intro, which introduced me to the basics, I was thrown into a comprehensive avatar customization suite. Facial options were as deep as tweaking my protagonist's cheekbones, contours, and jowls, and that's before I got to their makeup, accessories, dress sense, and more. The staggering sense of possibilities extends to the environment itself. Luscious fields of long grass, towering temples, and dim underground caverns, which require lighting my path with fire arrows, were all accessible during my first couple of hours. A jaunt through a peaceful village stream with a string of kites flapping in the wind were a particular highlight. Yeah, I mean, it's a good-looking game. Like, for what it is. You know what I mean? For what it is, like, this looks very good. You can upload your picture and it will make... You can upload your picture to this game for the customization? This all takes place with a night and day cycle which changes the ambiance and the routines of some of the NPCs I encountered, and if you find yourself closed off from any areas, you can overhear some conversations by clicking down on the right analog stick, listening to it via DualSense speaker. Your first hour will be eventful. Sure, you can play this massive game in a very traditional, story-driven mission way if you want, but I found an abundance of fun in its gameplay freedom and plentiful tasks offered at regular intervals. During my first 30 minutes, I already was competing in some friendly target practice on a cliff top, scaring off bees to climb a tree for treasure, riding on horseback, and yes, even petting a cat. Guys, Zubair's playing this. It's official. There it is. There's the cat. There's the cat. He's always rolling over. Oh, he's getting belly scratches. I mean, it's over. It's over. Zubair's going to main this game. Later on, I found myself cooking up health-restoring meals, challenging a child to some fishing, and playing a game of pitch pot, which had me throwing arrows into a jar while my avatar was inebriated by trying to keep the cursor or two within an erratically moving sphere. All creatures great and small. Cats weren't the only animals around the world. The variety of wildlife was a constant curiosity. As geese stuttered through fields, dogs barked at my avatar, and... Is that a bear? And the presence of birds flew overhead. I want you to see what's happening! I told you! Look at that! Look at what that goose is doing! I told you, man! Geese are evil! That homie's got that bear completely under submission, man. I'm telling you, dude. If I can have a geese companion attacking other beings, it'll be one of the alliances that I never thought I would form, but geese are crazy. Naturally, some of the fauna are passive, giving you a choice to interact with them, while others can be hunted. And the likes of bears and wolves can turn aggressive if other animals or active NPCs wander into their path. Dispatching them provides valuable resources, but beware, some creatures are far from ordinary. Blundering into a field of fire snakes was something I didn't want to repeat in a hurry. His Steam, now to wait 33 minutes. Oh, the Steam stuff is real. These screenshots are definitely real. We'll look at the Steam stuff in a little bit. I'm a Canadian and can confirm our national protection strategy is to deploy all Canadian geese to the border to stop all incursions. Listen, this is a little serious, and I know this is sort of the thing that I don't typically get into. Like, I don't get into politics and religion. But if there was ever a war with Canada and their front line was geese, I would enlist. I would. I would put notches on my helmet and everything. I mean, I'd go full, like, Apocalypse Now. I would lose myself in it. I just want you to know, as a Canadian, where we stand. So, and I don't like getting political, but I'd freaking kill as many. I would kill as many as I could. Lono and a goose would be the ultimate buddy cop game. Oh, it would. It'd be perfect. Population of personalities. I met a variety of chatty people on my travels, from farmers to thieves and assassins to doctors. Some gave me side quests or mini tasks, such as investigating a mysterious area, stealing a con man's goods, or in one particular case, serving a table of drinkers. You can even take this further with some NPCs using the on-screen keyboard to engage in an actual live conversation to help build relationships and earn in-game gifts. The system wasn't fully finished in the beta, but it's something to be looking forward to. Mystical, methodical, and accessible combat. While basic attacks and combats use the square button can be effective when partnered with dodge and the circle button to block via L1, causing a pleasing cling to come from the DualSense speaker, the gloss of the combat comes from its special attacks. When combined with the map face button, L2, R2 unleashes your mystic or martial arts, which include sword energy blasts and a damage-heavy fire breath. Okay. While combat plays a big part of for Where Winds Meet, you can make it easier if it's not something you are particularly interested in, with combat assist options to help with elements including parry windows and range attack indicators. Yeah, I want to play this game with my wife so freaking bad now, because I could make it easier on her. Like, we got to finish Borderlands, because this could be... I've always wanted an open world RPG to play with Madam. So bad. Like, can we get a samurai game to play together? Like, the rumored co-op for, like, AC Shadows had me excited. Like, this could be it, boys. This could be it. Expect the unexpected. With a world as big as this, there were plenty of surprises that cropped up during my time with the beta. I won't spoil it too much here, but for those curious, one instance had my avatar engage in a battle of words in a Gift of Gab minigame where I had to choose witty responses to win an argument. Oh my gosh. There's a Gift of Gab minigame where you have to win an argument? Boys, we found my game. This is a full-time Where Winds Meet. This channel is now Where Winds Meet channel. It's over. Forget variety coverage, man. While falling from a great height caused my avatar to get a sprain, one of the few unusual status ailments. Things also got very weird when I unwisely drank liquid, which was clearly marked "do not drink." My avatar lost his senses, and he believed that he turned into a dog. So I did what any reasonable dog would do under such circumstances, and I proceeded to join a mahjong table with several other dogs. Boys, I think GTA 6 better watch out. I think we're looking at the game of the century here. I mean, petting cats, winning arguments, and you can play mahjong as a cute dog. I mean, what are we doing here? This is only scratching the surface of Where Winds Meet has to offer, with its PvP servers opening up even more possibilities for the genre when it comes to PS5 on November the 14th. Those dogs all look the same to me. Yeah, as a cat lover, that's not surprising. You know, I mean, it's very speciest of you, but I mean, I expect nothing less. Expedition 33 just lost Game of the Year. Yeah, dude. Game of the generation. I can pet cats, win arguments, turn into a dog. It's on, boys. It's on. How do I do this? How do I do the post video thing? You used to only be able to do it on Twitter mobile. Hang on. I can pet cats. Hang on. In Where Winds Meet, you can pet cats, win arguments, turn into a dog. Game of the Year 2025 incoming. Okay, we need a kitty cat. We need what's the emoji where the guy, is it shout? There's an emoji where the guy's like shouting. What's the name of it? I'm putting in shout, scream, yell. It's speak, I guess. All right. In Where Winds Meet, you can pet cats, win arguments, turn into a dog. Game of the Year 2025 incoming. There we go. That's the tweet. Yeah, F Kirby Air Riders. Why does it not show the video? It's supposed to show the video. I hate when it does this. Hang on. I gotta resend the tweet. Let me copy that, and then let me delete the tweet. That's annoying. Like, you can do this thing on mobile where, like, you long hold on the video, and then you just tweet the video, and it makes your tweet look good. And it didn't work. Like, on desktop, you click, like, tweet video or whatever. Let me see if that did it. That did it. It's supposed to, like, embed the video in your tweet, and it didn't do it. Okay, I fixed it. I had a head injury from falling off a cliff in Where Winds Meet and needed a player to heal me before my injury got worse. Do you still have Jack? No, Jack passed away a couple months ago. Yeah. He was an old man. He was 18, and he at some point lost his eyesight. He was blind. We couldn't tell. He got around so well. He was blind, and he stopped taking care of himself and got real sick, and I took him in, and that was the end of that, unfortunately. We lost his sister a couple years ago, Kate. He was a good cat, man. He's a stubborn old man. It's a good run for a cat. Yeah, 18. Especially for a big cat. He was big. A lot of times when they, larger animals, like their life expectancy goes down. Like it's harder on their joints and stuff. So, yeah, it was a bummer. I was a bit of a wreck. I didn't expect to get that emotional. But, when my wife and I first got married, that was like one of the first things we did was we got Jack and Kate. It was the end of an era. He was a good dude, man. He stuck with us for a long time. First look at the Steam frame, Steam machine, and Steam controller. So people are tweeting the images. I don't want to take the risk of, I don't like showing stuff like that before like it's available. Yo, Brandon, thank you for the 3-stream streak. I appreciate it so much. $15 minutes. Where's this going to be happening, Rope? Where are they going to be posting this stuff? Videos, tweets? Like, what are we looking at here? Being Bungie's fatigued with Destiny. Could you see Sony letting them make a Killzone, says Neo Reaper. I think the issue is with stuff like Killzone and some of those older titles is I don't think Sony wants to make them, and I don't think anybody wants to make them. Like, this came up with Sucker Punch and Sly Cooper, and the guy basically said, he was like, I don't know what to tell you. He was like, there's maybe 10% of people at the company that would even want to make a Sly Cooper. So, like, I think the issue is sometimes with old games like that is there aren't even devs that want to do it. I'm assuming 1 million embargo vids will pop. Okay. I was a wreck with a recent cat loss as well. Didn't expect it. Yeah, it devastated me. Because he knew what was coming. Like, I could just read his energy. He knew what was coming. Like, he nuzzled really close to me and, like, laid his head on my hand. And he never did stuff like that. Not to me. He would do that with Madam, but not to me. And, like, when they went to take him back one last time, he gave me one last, like, nuzzle. Like, he knew. Like, he just knew. I think he could I feel like he was one of the few cats I think I've ever seen that, like, I felt like really understood English. Like, he understood what I was saying to him. I would ask him to do things and tell him to do things, and he would do it. Like, he was a very, very astute animal. SOCOM's forever gone at this point. I'm not saying that, like, every old game is gone for forever. I'm just saying, like, I think the issue you're always going to run into with games like that is nobody's going to want to build it. You're not going to get devs that want to build it. Like, and also the question would be, do they think there's an audience for it anymore? You know? I'm not saying that these games have no audience and these games have no shot. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you can get devs that want to build it or customers that want to buy it. Studies indicate that cats understand us like dogs do. The cats don't give an F. I'm serious. That's what the findings were. It's not surprising. Because they'll do like the opposite of what you ask them. All of the time. It's dying for a phone. There you go. Yep. My daughter's hit song. So in 12 minutes, we're going to have some stuff apparently from Valve that we'll be able to react to and commentate on. So make sure you guys are hitting like. Make sure you're checking your renewals on your memberships, all of the things. We greatly appreciate it. We are continuing to try to do both things on the channel. So if you guys watch the uploads, we did a Die with Dignity video this week. Last week we did a PlayStation Portal video and some Arc Raiders videos. Wait, what the frick was that? How do I turn this off? Turn off all notifications for suggested. Like, some Xbox thing popped up today. I was like, what is this? Americans complaining about a Japanese-centric state of play are hilarious. It was not for you. I've said that so many times today, Killtron. I thought it was so funny. It was like literally called State of Play Japan in Japanese with a famous Japanese voice actor, and a bunch of games from Japanese studios. And people were like, well, who is this for? Don't make me tap the sign. Like, it's right there in the title. State of Play Japan. Are you Japanese? Have you grown up in Japanese culture? Do you have a proclivity for, like, Japanese games and Japanese studios? I think it's a wake-up call to people who think they're, like, a fan of Japanese things when they see a bunch of stuff that doesn't appeal to them. And it's like, maybe you don't like Japanese things as much as you thought you did. You might like Japanese things. Maybe they're animated shows. Maybe your body pillow. I don't know. But it doesn't mean that you're, like, super into all their stuff. And so there's going to be a handful of game studios and projects that just aren't going to appeal to you. The Marvel game looks sick. To be fair, Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls doesn't look like it's like a Japanese game. It's a fighting game that the fighting community is, like, ecstatic about. So do you think, like, Japan is just like America but filled with Japanese people? Right. Like, if you watch it with the sound off, and you just watch his facial expressions, his mannerisms, the way he uses his hands and does stuff, it's very, very, the whole package. Again, it made me think of a Nintendo Direct. You know, the standing, looking at the camera, very expressive, hand gestures, you know, bowing to each other before the interviews. There were all these little touches. I'm like, man, this really feels like a Nintendo Direct. And I think it's derived from their culture and their media and how they talk about things, how things are packaged. They probably have game shows and news shows and media shows that are very, very adjacent to how Nintendo Direct and that State of Play were packaged. They were bowing while sitting down. Yeah, the one guy bowed like very deep too. It was, I believe, like you go deeper than the other person, like to really honor them. Like, and he was way down. I was like, wow. Exactly. While I really don't care for much of it, I 100% knew it was not for me that they were talking to. Yeah, I said that. I was like, if you're going to make some cozy game where like you're growing cupcakes in your backyard and like defending them from ghosts, it's like, yeah, sure, that's not really a game for me. But there's that thing could, a game like that, I'm making a game up, by the way, when I say that. A game like that could sell 8 million copies. And it's like, oh my gosh. But it's like, it's not intended for a, you know, an American or like Western, like European audience. Like 27%, I said to people, it was cited in the Discord this morning. You know, Eugene put that in there. Like 27% of the PlayStation 5s that have sold in America. So we're like a third of the PlayStation 5 user base. So like everything's not going to be for us. Surprisingly enough, about 1/3 of the showcase appealed to, I mean, probably had a higher propensity of appealing to like an American audience, and the rest. I'm not saying it can't appeal to you. I'm saying it's lower in probability. Like if you get a group of like 100 American gaming dudes and you show them that State of Play, most of the content they're gonna probably go to. Like, yeah, I'm not really interested in that. We have a game where we make dildo-shaped cookies. Probably doing that this Saturday. Huh? Oh, you talking about the Jackbox game? I mostly play Japanese or Asian games, so it didn't bother me. I think somebody said it really well this morning, that they like when a Japanese, Korean, or Chinese developer makes a Western game. That's what they like. Because the aesthetic is there, but the gameplay is very like Western. Like an open world action RPG where like the lead character is hot and half naked. Well, that's primarily going to be coming from studios like that. That's just something that they do. It's a different art style, different art direction, different aesthetic, different views of those types of things. So that's what they like. But when you see like an actual State of Play for Japan, and you're like, who is all this for? It blew me away how many people were like, Eastern developers are going to save us. And then they all bristle and get upset when a State of Play for Japan doesn't appeal to them. I was like, well, I thought Eastern developers were going to save you from the wokies in the West. And it's like, when you actually see a State of Play in a showcase for Japan, you're like, I don't like any of this. Oh, wow. We're all so shocked. We're really shocked at the outcome. You know what I mean? The neck-bearded gooners being like, I didn't like any of this. Yeah, we're really shocked, bud. We're all blown away at the outcome here. We never would have guessed that you're not like an actual man of culture and like have a bunch of, eclectic tastes within gaming, with your 85 snapshots from Stellar Blade on Twitter. Yeah, a real man of culture. What a stunning turn of events. Oh, the State of Play for Japan didn't appeal to you. Oh no. Hopefully your fedora didn't fall off when you were watching it. Oh. Yeah, I'm actually wondering, Petrov, if we're going to get a State of Play China or a State of Play India. I could see that too. I could see it. Social media ruined everything. It's true. I love JRPGs. This Sony reminds me of 90s Nintendo, and I'm here for it. And a lot of people said that. They said that it reminded them when, PlayStation had a more Japan-focused push, and they had that people were saying it reminded them like the PS2 era. So, State of Play China would be really interesting. They have got some really, really promising games in the China Hero project. Like Lost Soul Aside was a bit of a non-starter, which was unfortunate. There are some solid games in that China Hero project. 2 of them could be big live service games in China, in particular. PlayStation's, I'm telling you, when did we say this? Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. In July of this year, I did a stream called PlayStation Their Secret Weapon. And I think that's their secret weapon. I think their secret weapon is China. Like, they want to push in to that market. That's their secret weapon for console growth this gen. As well as India, as well as Japan. I mean, Asia in general is their secret weapon. But I think China's big time, like, where they're going to really, really push for some growth. All right, it's official. If the website doesn't crash, and this is official on the Steam website here, coming in 2026, Steam hardware family, Steam Deck, Steam controller, Steam machine. Okay, so they're going to have their own VR, their own box, okay, obviously the Steam Deck, and then a controller. I saw pictures of the controller last night. All right, let's watch the announcement video. Where is it? Hang on, let me give you guys sound here. It's 20 seconds. 20 seconds here. I'm not getting any sound. I guess there's not sound. Hang on. That's just for the controller. Hang on. Let me make sure that I'm actually like getting sound on like yeah, I am getting sound from my PC. So this commercial just doesn't have sound. Let's go to the Steam machine. Okay. Your games on the big screen. Powerful PC gaming made easy in a small and mighty package. Oh, brother. PC boys are... I'm just going to keep scrolling. I'm not saying anything. I'm gonna let Asmongold have that one. All right? I'm going to... Zach... This is all you. This is your territory for eyebrow movements and reaction. All right, I'm moving on. All right, let's see. What do we got? Steam OS, small form factor, cool and quiet. Here we go. CPU and GPU. 4K gaming at 60 FPS with FSR thanks to a discrete semi-custom AMD desktop class CPU and GPU. Available in two storage sizes, 512 gig or 2 terabyte. Both come with expandable storage via micro SD. Connectivity, 2x2 Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, dedicated antenna, Steam controller, wireless adapter, built-in Steam machine. I'm assuming it's got Ethernet. Power, no giant brick. Steam machine is power supplies built right in. Homies, What have I been saying? What have I been saying about Magnus? This solves my Magnus problem, and look at what you can do to the front of it. Like, you can make it fit your aesthetic. I think that's dope. Good Lord. Customize with different colors. Oh, that's sick. It is really, really small, dude. Oh my gosh. I can't believe how small it is. Pause. She's like, hey, everybody. I'm streaming. Yeah. With my camera off. Her camera's off. The lens isn't out. Do you guys want to stream like a crazy person and talk to an audience that's not there? Buy the Steam machine. Made for the Steam controller. Great for streaming. Okay, here we go. Ethernet, power, HDMI, DisplayPort, USB-C, USB 2A, micro SD, USB 3s on the front. Here we go. Tech specs. Semi-custom AMD Zen 4 SC12T. What the frick is this, Zuby? It's a 4.8 gigahertz, 30-watt TDP. GPU. Semi-custom AMD RDNA 3 28 CUs, 2.4 gigahertz max sustained clock, 110-watt TDP. I don't know what any of this frickin' means. 16 gig of DDR5. I know what this means because so many games minimum specs say they want 16 gig. We got 8 gig of GDDR6 VRAM. Internal power supply. Okay. RDNA 3 is old. No FSR4. I don't need this thing to have crazy performance. I need to be able to play Deep Rock Galactic Survivor in my living room. I need to be able to play a lot of these little indie beta tests and early access. That's what I need. I don't need this thing to blow my socks off, right? 2x2 Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.3, integrated 2.4 gigahertz Steam controller wireless adapter, DisplayPort, HDMI 2.0. Here's the USBs. Gigabit Ethernet. 17 individually adjustable RGB LEDs for system status custom. Okay. Next year. No price point. What do you guys think this is going to be? Given what we saw, what price point? $500? $800? I'm not even making recommendations right now. I'm asking. I don't even know. Given this custom CPU, GPU, where do you see the price point of this sucker landing? $8 gig VRAM sucks. Who do you think they're targeting with this, though? They're probably targeting people like me that want to play Deep Rock and Karate Survivor in their living room, which Deep Rock's on Xbox now and Karate Survivor's on PlayStation. I think Karate Survivor's on a handful of the consoles, isn't it? You guys think somewhere between $600 and $800. It's going to be $400 for the 516 and $600 for the 2 terabyte. I mean, I'm buying this thing immediately. As soon as it's available, I'm buying this. I did not buy a Steam Deck. I have no interest in a Steam Deck. I buy this right away. I wouldn't hesitate. I'm not going to try to play PlayStation ported games on it. I'll play my Pro if I want graphics. I'm not buying this for graphics. I'm buying this for convenience in my living room. Like, I have so many games that I would love to play in my living room, and this would allow me to do that. Like, if I go to my library right now, I could also take this thing on like when I go up for Thanksgiving, I could take it up to Thanksgiving. I'd have all my Jackbox games, plug it right into my brother's television. I've got Hades 2, all the Jackbox games, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, Peak. I could play Peak, right? Escape Room Simulator 2. These are games I can't get on the console. These are games that I would happily play in my living room on a Steam machine and not have to worry about performance. Add the machine to your wish list. How do I do that? I'm not seeing the ability to do that. Is it somewhere on this page? Oh, add to wish list. I got it. Thank you. I got it. I'm going to add the controller. I'm going to add both to my wish list. Sort by date added. I'll tell you what's really interesting about this. I'll wait for reviews. I mean, I'd reach out. I could reach out to them. I could get them to send me one. I wonder, like, you know what I'm saying? We're not huge, but like when they're trying to push hardware like this, I'm the target for something like this. I would give it a very fair review. Digital Foundry has a video up. It's sweet having your entire library on the couch in a small form factor. Valve's a good reputation as well. RDNA 3 base, not interested. I think, again, for me, the win is the games I would play on it. I don't need a graphical powerhouse. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I do not need a graphical powerhouse in my living room. I don't. That's not what I need. I need something that can play, you know, Jackbox or Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, you know? Let's see here. Steam Machine. Hands-on with a Steam Machine. They just put their video up. I don't know if I want to do this, though. Yeah, I don't like doing that. Hang on. No, not Black Myth. I don't know what they tested on it. It looks like they were playing Forza at 1080. I don't like pulling up people's content like the minute it drops. Looks like they were playing Cyberpunk at 1080. It's embargoed. Everybody's videos today. I just don't like pulling up somebody's brand new content and reacting to it. Do they have like an article I can read? I think that's different. They put a lot of work into a video like that. I don't like immediately throwing it into my content. All right, here. We'll get their thoughts on the hardware right here. Let me put this over here. Okay. Since the AMD CPU and GPU in the above spec sheet are listed as semi-custom, we must read between the lines to determine which existing parts they most likely closely resemble, seeing as neither is the debut of an entirely new AMD chipset line. Instead, based on the combination of prior leaks and Valve's official numbers, we suspect that Steam Machine CPU is derived off of the Phoenix or Hawk Point APU, with 2 cores disabled and its integrated GPU fused off. GPU-wise, meanwhile, we direct our attention to the most comparable RDNA 3 GPU made by AMD, the Navi 3 processor, as found in the 2-year-old RX 7600, with a cut down in specs from 32 CUs to only 28. This GPU is likely operating on a 128-bit bus, as per official Navi 33 specs. TDP is also lower. Okay, give it to me in like English. In comments about Steam Machine's Digital Foundry, Valve staffers repeatedly suggested the general performance of target 4K resolution 60 frame rates, albeit with AMD's FSR engaged to resolve a 4K image, lower base pixel counts. On the CPU front, we believe that the system's Zen 4 architecture, as the stated clock speed, should clear that 60 FPS target on a wide range of software, despite its relatively low TDP and origins as mobile and laptop-minded chip. Valve's chosen GPU for the Steam Machine, on the other hand, leaves us less confident in that target. where the fully enabled RX 7600 is typically associated with 1080 to 1440 gaming, often requiring the use of upscaling or more demanding games. The decision to opt for 8 gig of GDDR6 memory has been proven to be a limiting factor on many modern mainstream AAA games and falls short of the maximum VRAM pools and memory bandwidth available on Xbox Series X and the base PS5. To accommodate 8 gig on affected games, paring back settings and steering clear of ray tracing is frequently required. Like, this sounds like it's going to be more than enough for what I really need from it, but if you're wanting to play like Cyberpunk in your living room with all the beauties turned on, or you're wanting to play like PlayStation ported games, you're probably going to want to play on a PlayStation. Like, if you're trying to get that, a PS5 Pro. If you're wanting high performance, high graphics, like if you're wanting the best you can get in your living room without doing a PC, you're not going to buy this for that. That's not what this thing's aiming at. This looks less performant than current consoles, which for me is arguably perfect because that's not the kind of games I would typically be playing in my Steam library that I want in my living room. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I that's perfect for me. Like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor and like, what's the gun game that I really, really liked? I forget what it was called. Schedule 1, Repo, Escape Room Simulator. Where is it? Nimrods. I played the early access of Nimrods. I haven't played the 1.0 release more than 6 minutes, but I played the early access and I loved it. Well, RoboQuest I play on my Xbox. But like games like Nimrods, right? Karate Survivor. Like these are games I could easily play in my living room. All the Jackbox games, Schedule 1, Repo, Escape Simulator. Escape Simulator 2 just came out. Peak, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, almost 20 hours in that game for me on Steam. Hades 2. To me, like it's a perfect device. If you aren't already invested in Steam, this won't speak to you. Even my low level of investment in Steam, I think like, yeah, let's do it. Do you have a secret bunker? No. What are you farming for clips? Your account's like a couple months old. The article says they didn't get a confirmed price, but they think $400 would be fair. You're invested in Steam, Lono. You have a list of games you like that are only on Steam. This is true. Why don't you have a secret bunker? Listen, I'm not interested in this self-referential thing that people like you do. You show up to somebody else's stream and you're not interested in having a conversation or being a part of what we're doing. You're interested in whatever aims and goals that you have. I'm not interested in playing whatever it is that you're doing. I'm sorry, I meant, hey, Pony, don't act like you get Steam. You don't get Steam. If the price is close to $400, I would buy that and a PS6. Unless Steam's willing to take a bath, no way it's $400. I bet it's, based on everything we've seen, it's going to be cheaper than the Magnus. And I just wonder what this does to the Magnus long term. If Steam is first to market with basically a simplified OS and PC experience for the living room, what's this do to the Magnus? Does it, like, you know what I mean? You drop a Magnus for $1,200 to $1,500. What's it do to that? Because if you've got a PlayStation 6 in the market for $600, if this Steam machine's around the same price, $500 or something, And then you have a Magnus that's more than twice as much, $1,200 or $1,500. I don't know. That just makes the Magnus an interesting discussion, because it's like, well, now the main draw to the Magnus is going to be both performance and backwards compat. Eugene says, I'd buy the Magnus over this. Right, like somebody who wants better performance out of these PC games would buy the Magnus, because they would say, well, if I want to play a first-person shooter or an open-world game, I'm going to want better performance than the Steam machine's going to give me, and they would flock to the Magnus. They'd also flock to the Magnus if they have any Xbox back compat games they want to play. You don't need the Magnus. If you want backwards compat, you're going to get the Magnus. The Magnus is competing with pre-built PCs to play AAA games. This is a Vampire Survivors Hades 2 box. Yeah, I think that's well stated. This is a gaming system to play the ocean of AA and indie titles on Steam. It's not a gaming system that you would buy to play Cyberpunk at high performance. You would just build a PC for that, or just buy a PS5 Pro. If you're wanting a simplistic solution for your living room and you want games to look really good, you're not buying the Steam machine. That's not what its goal is. It's not strong enough to even make that a part of the conversation. If you want a simplistic solution for your living room and you want games to look as good as possible within that hemisphere, you're going to buy a PS5 Pro. Or you already have a really nice PC that you'll move into the living room or have a nice monitor for, and you're not even going to mess with this. But you want something for your living room that can let you play Deep Rock Galactic, Karate, Survivor, Hades 2, whatever. There are a lot of games on Steam that fit that mold. How many times do we watch a future game show or a showcase and we see all these titles, right? And it says wishlist now on Steam, wishlist now on Steam. And we're like, oh man, I wish that was coming to console. These little scrappy, fun-looking indie-sized, AA-sized games that just don't come to console. Thoughts on new Steam hardware? I mean, we're talking about it right now. I think consumers have a lot of options, and I think those options are going to continue to come out. I also think it's really, really interesting. I think this is really interesting. The people that were saying that the future is no consoles and the industry's changing and all these things are going to be happening. It's there seems to be a pretty heavy investment in hardware right now. I mean, we have Xbox talking about doing a Magnus. Steam just announced their Steam machine, and PlayStation just celebrated 5 years of the PlayStation 5 by announcing a monitor and a bunch of hardware. Speakers, they talked about their controller, they talked about their Portal, and then you got the Nintendo Switch 2 being the highest selling. I really feel like people that were saying so much about the industry, it's look at what the industry's doing, and you thought hardware was going away? Did nobody tell Valve that console sales are slowing? Yeah, the console's a stagnant market. Why are you trying to build something for the living room? I'm telling you, it's the predictive power of some of these folks. It's what did you think was going to happen? That we were all going to go buy pre-builts or build machines and that was the future of gaming? It's really, really funny looking with the front cover on. Perfect image with a question. I disagree because casual market wouldn't care for that if they see a Steam console that can play AAA games like Nintendo Switch 2 around the same performance, and people would flock to this. Your sentence doesn't make any sense to me. You got to rewrite that. I'm not understanding what you're saying. Perfect Image says, Since Steam Machine's coming, what's this look like for PlayStation? This has no bearing on PlayStation whatsoever. This has no bearing on PlayStation whatsoever. This is a device that won't even remotely compete with what PlayStation targets. If you've looked at the hardware specs of it, it is not going to be a high-performant machine. It's going to be weaker than like a base PS5. So like I don't think this does anything to PlayStation. Like no one's cross-shopping this with a PlayStation. Like, should I get a PS5, a PS5 Pro, or that Steam machine? The Steam machine is going to be for folks who already have a Steam account, they're already kind of into PC gaming, and they'd like a nice simple solution to play the less performant games in their living room. It's a Steam Deck for the living room. Yeah, I was just going to say, this is kind of like a Steam Deck, but for your television. Like, it's not meant to be like a high-performant device. It could give Xbox's hybrid some mild trouble, but at that performance level, yeah, RDNA 3 and 8 gig of VRAM. Like, I don't think this thing is entering that landscape or that discussion. It's not trying to be clear. I don't think Steam is trying to do that. You could get both and one won't substitute the other. Yeah, like right now, having a Switch 2, a PS5 Pro, and that thing in my living room, I mean, what a great time to be a gamer. Like, what a great suite of hardware that is. I can play Zelda, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, Kirby Air Riders. I can play the latest Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding, God of War, whatever. And then I can play, you know, any of those cool little indie titles that we see all of the time. I've got everything right there. There are not, think about it like from this perspective. There are no like high performant games that I'm like, man, I wish I had a PC in my living room for that high performant game. If I'm going to play a high performant game, I'm going to play it on my PS5 Pro, like AC Shadows, for example. Like, the difference in performance is there. Obviously, if I would have played AC Shadows in here on my 5070 Ti versus the Pro, I could push things further with the 5070 Ti. But it's just easier for me to sit in my living room. The difference in performance to me is not enough to sit in here. It isn't. But if you let me sit in my living room and play Hades 2, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, well, I'm there. Like, that's fantastic. I don't need high performance in those games. And guess what? I can't play them on my PlayStation. You feel like this is a kick in the balls for the Magnus? It probably doesn't feel very good for Microsoft to feel like they just got to kind of beat to the market, but I also don't think the Magnus is targeting what this is targeting. I think the Magnus is going to be a higher price point device that offers more, especially with the backwards compatibility. It certainly doesn't feel good when someone gets to enter the market and do the thing that you were getting ready to do, especially when you look at it. It literally looks like a Series X cut in half. I mean, it just does. Will this sell more than the Steam Deck? I don't know. Why is Hades 2 not on console? Because, like many developers, they focus their development on one platform, do early access, and it leads to a better game. Hence, it's an entire repudiation of the notion that exclusives are bad or anti-consumer. At the Steam hardware charts, this box is more of an upgrade for many, many people. That's true, and that's something that we've talked about before when people are like, a PC user would never buy a PlayStation 5 Pro. And I'm like, the vast majority of people on PCs right now, that would be a very inexpensive upgrade to buy a PS5 Pro. It would run games better than their PC can, and it would be cheaper than upgrading their PC. So this box is in a similar lane. It could be a nice upgrade for somebody who has like an old pre-built or a gaming laptop, plugs into their TV really conveniently, and it runs games better than they've been used to. Like at that point, that's great. For anybody on a mid to low end machine, it could be a really, really nice purchase for them. Steam was gonna. What did I tell you? Steam's gonna be the monkey wrench to Xbox's plans. If they're D knows, you know what I think it is actually a problem? The bigger problem is not the device, homie. It isn't. You know what it is. It's the OS. If Steam can nail the OS and people love it and it feels lightweight and gamer focused, Xbox is going to have to meet that. Xbox is not competing with the hardware. They're competing with the OS. They've got to make a better OS. Jonathan says, hit the like, you heathens. If you guys want to join my wife and I for some Arc Raiders on Saturday, the goal is 750 to unlock that. You're well on your way. We hit the weekly goal for Friday this morning, so you guys can kind of cruise your way to the stretch goal the next couple of days. This could come real close to PS5 spec. How? Everybody's saying it's like old. The chat's reaction was not very positive to the hardware rope. You think it's close to PS5 spec? People in chat were acting like it wouldn't be. I'm not the expert, so I was just repeating what people are saying. It's being touted as 6 times more powerful than the Steam Deck. Zubair says the GPU power in the PS5 is way better. Yeah, I got people in chat I trust. Creature and Zubair are both saying this is not a PS5 spec. And Zubair's like PC Master Race. He's got no reason to fluff up anything that PlayStation's doing. In fact, one of my buddy just made a fake Steam box with an old Office CPU and Linux, and it runs just like the Steam Deck. This is stronger than a Series S, but weaker than a PS5, and then compounded by the fact that it'll never be optimized for. 8 gig of VRAM's laughable. This is 28 RDNA 3 CUs. Yeah, but it's 8 gig of VRAM. It's RDNA 3. Like, I don't know. He's quite the fluffer. That's right. Phil Spencer's celebrating Ray here. He says, gaming moves forward when players and developers have more ways to play and create, especially across open platforms. You're all about that now, aren't you, Phil? Expanding access across PC, console, and handheld devices reflects a future built on choice, core values that have guided Xbox visions from the start. Really? That's interesting. That's not true at all. As one of the largest publishers on Steam, we welcome new options for players to access games everywhere. Congrats on today's launch. Yeah, since the start. It's been their core values since the start. Since the start of last year. All those years paying for exclusives and timed exclusivity. This guy's like, yeah, from the start, we've been all about that. Yeah. Since the start of 2024. Shut the frick up, Phil. You know what I'm saying? I like you, Phil, but shut the frick up, bro. Since the start. You're full of it, mate. You're full of it. Gabe Newell says, we've been super happy with the success of the Steam Deck, and PC gamers have continued asking for even more ways to play all their great titles in Steam libraries. All of ZeniMax is now exclusive. All of it? Wow. Yeah. 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 When Phil told ZeniMax that everything was exclusive going forward and the CFO said, wow. He said, wow. It's been our view since the beginning. It's called a Steam machine, right? Is that what it's called? Steam machine? Yeah, okay. I don't think the Steam machine is a threat to the Xbox Magnus for a few reasons. Weaker performance. No Xbox backwards compat. Different target audience. Yeah, I don't think it's a threat to the Magnus at all. I think the Magnus is going to be able to tout better performance, back compat, and it's just they're just targeting different audiences. Let me see here. How do you... I don't think the Steam machine is a threat to the Xbox Magnus for a few reasons. Weaker hardware. Not weaker performance. Weaker hardware. No Xbox backwards compatibility. I can't type. Different target audience. Valve's pricing and simplicity is going to be the death note to the casual gamer. Common sense is the largest threat to the Magnus. I just think the Xbox Magnus is targeting a very different consumer. I don't think this is a threat at all. I don't think they're even in the same hemisphere. The biggest threat to Magnus is Microsoft needing another $100 billion to throw at AI next week. Not a threat. It's not a threat, it's a promise. The thing needs to be so cheap that I wouldn't even consider building my own small PC for the living room. Steam Machine is a weak name, though. Should have called it the what you F it. Steam Machine sounds awesome. It rhymes. I think the bigger threat's the OS. We went hands-on with the Steam Machine and Steam Frame, 2 videos in the pipeline, kicking off right now with a detailed discussion of Valve's beautiful PC console hybrid and the new Steam controller. Steam Box. Steam Machine sounds like a carpet cleaner. I guess it does kind of sound like that. Stanley Steamer gets carpets cleaner. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike for that. That was an almost identical that was identical to what the commercials sound like. We're past the 3-hour mark. I need a break. Guys, keep hitting the like button. Get the questions submitted. Do all the things. We'll keep hanging out. I need a break. I'll be right back. I've been in the chair for like 4 hours. Who would buy the 500 gig model? People who are only going to play tiny games and want to save some money. What do you mean? A lot of people out there, man. What should we do? Okay, it's 120. We should probably go to Green Room, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it. Have some time to plan. Because we usually try to end Green Room by around 3. Can give you guys about an hour of Green Room. We had a perfectly fine day. I mean, there's no reason to belabor the point. Maybe trying to hammer out POV for an upload on this, maybe. So look for that later. We may have an upload later today. I like to cover things like this, speculate, react, all of that. Tomorrow's show probably be about this to some degree. And there's also the potential for other things going on. And then where Winds Meet is Friday. What about Bart Simpson versus Darth Vader? This is my favorite part. I don't mind letting you guys extend and setting the timer, but I also don't want to do that every time, I think that's fun on a Friday, especially when you guys are scrambling to hit a goal or a stretch goal or something. So I don't want to do that multiple times a week. There might be an upload with the carpet cleaner jingle. This is true. This is true. So, yeah. So a great reason to be in the Discord is we end the day with Green Room. And it's more like a video call. So it's a little bit more personal than a stream. And that's something that you guys are missing out on if you're not getting in our Discord. If you're watching on YouTube and you're enjoying a gifted membership, upgrading to Member Plus also affords you more opportunities like that, as well as early access or early jumps on a game night. So if we do end up playing Arc Raiders with you guys this week, we give VIP and Member Pluses first dibs on that kind of a thing. It's a great reason to upgrade. And yeah. So use the Discord command in chat. Use the Discord link in the description below. And come join us for Green Room. Hang on, I'm using the wrong keyboard. Come join us for Green Room. All right. So appreciate you guys. Smash that like button on the way out. Likes have been super lacking. We're still having really, really horrible treatment by the platform. I'm not stressing, but it's really helpful when you guys show up and hit that like button. So you guys have been amazing. YouTube is slowly turning. And a great way to help with that is to make sure you're hitting that like button every time you come in. And another great thing is to make sure you're in the Discord. So if I'm not on your homepage, you still see the show. Okay? Those are great things to do to make sure we can continue to stay in front of you. All right? Okay. We will see you guys tomorrow if you don't come to Green Room. All right? Take care.